Hi guys, welcome to my 10th live stream. Today is January 27th, and yeah, let's get started. Epic Zombie Killer says, "Hey Brian, how are you doing tonight, bro?" I am doing really good, Epic. Thank you for asking. I mean, there's been some good. I've been watching some good videos lately from other Walking Dead YouTubers like Dan, and I'm really excited for the second half. And I think I got a pretty good prediction right. So yeah, as far as the second half, and I kind of came up with it in a way. I don't know if I was the first one, but I definitely did it. I think I would say I came up with it before a lot of people. So yeah, Dan, hey, glad you're here, Dan. He says, "Hey guys." Epic says, "Hey, Dan's reviews. How are you doing tonight?" And let's see. Dan says, "Great. Can't believe how close we are to The Walking Dead now." Yeah, I can't believe it either, Dan. I mean, it's crazy. I thought this wait was gonna be like the longest, like totally unbearable, but like it really does help when the Walking Dead like goes away to like not think about it for a little bit, like at least the first month, and then like the last month or so like go by so fast. So yeah, I mean I cannot wait, and hopefully we can stay away from spoilers. And let's see. And Epic says, "Yeah, I'm excited." And then Epic says, "Hey, what do you think of my Walking Dead videos?" They're uh, I do watch. I have watched some of your videos, Epic. I think that you have some really good topics, and I like your thumbnails, like how you make them. It's just as far as like the mic, I mean like when you're talking, I guess I just kind of have trouble understanding you sometimes, but I guess that's partially due to me. But as far as like your videos, like I definitely think that you're very honest, and that's kind of rare to come by in YouTube, as well as Walking Dead stuff. But like I don't know if I watched all your videos. I'm pretty sure I haven't, Epic. Sorry about that, but I think like you have a really good channel. But like like if you are thinking about improving it or anything like that, like go for it, because I definitely think that like we can all learn from each other to improve our channels. But yeah, and Dan says you have a great channel. Let's see. Um, by the way, let's see. Do you guys hear me okay? Just want to make sure the audio's okay. Let's see. Epic says, by the way, you guys hear about Better Call Saul ending after season 3. I don't watch Better Call Saul, but I mean, if they're ending it at season 3, I'm glad. That's it lets me know that AMC is being smart and deciding not to milk it forever. So yeah, let's see. Dan says, "Yeah, unfortunately, I've never seen it." Yeah, me either, Dan. I just don't have time for it, but also it's just not my thing. Like Better Call Saul, it's like lawyer stuff, and I'm not really into that. I'm more into action, drama, shooting, or like fighting, like Game of Thrones, like sword fighting. But yeah, Epic says no, season 6. Yeah, I mean, like that's where it's gonna end. Like season 6 gonna be the final season. I haven't seen it, but at least they know when to end it. So yeah, and by the way, as far as this live stream, I want to mostly talk about, if that's all right with you guys, I want to mostly talk about the new promo we got from AMC, where I got this picture from, with the Negan and the Whisperer mask, as well as, I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about the Walking Dead Telltale Season 1 game. Just, your guys' thoughts on it. Like, was it a really good game? What were your favorite parts on it? So, because we still don't have too much Walking Dead, I just want to focus on those two. But I do want to talk a little bit about, I mean, not a little bit, sorry. I want to talk, a good while about the new promo, because that promo was amazing. I mean, I didn't see the Negan in a Whisperer mask, shot in the trailer. Like, yeah, Dan says that new promo is incredible. Yeah, it was, Dan. I can't believe I missed the whole, Negan like in a Whisperer mask. Like, what I mean? Because like normally I like pause and analyze the trailers and promos, but I don't know, just something different with this one. Maybe it was just the quality. I guess like I wasn't watching it on, from a channel that had good quality on it, so I don't know what happened. But yeah, I mean, the fact that Negan's wearing a Whisper mask, like that's crazy. I'm not sure if he's going to like kill Alpha like with it on or anything, but like we didn't get this in the comics because in the comic Negan never got his mask like when he killed Alpha, so I'm pretty sure that this is probably going to happen a little bit before, so who knows. Epic says, I'm hoping Negan doesn't become a Whisperer. I'm hoping I'm hoping he's still planning to kill Alpha. Yeah, I hope so too, Epic, and I really think so. If Negan is not, they got to be setting him up for a redemption arc, and if this whole time it wasn't a redemption arc, then they would have to kill Negan in the story. So yeah, I mean, like I can't see them wanting to kill off Jeffrey Dean Morgan, like Negan like that. Get rid of Jeffrey Dean Morgan from the show like that. Like he's a villain, and then you know he's in jail for like 8 years, and then he becomes a villain again. So I think they're gonna change that. Let's see. Dan says, "Don't worry, I actually missed that scene too. It just went by so fast." Yeah, and also like I'm not sure where I watched it again, but the promo didn't have great quality. I guess I should have watched it on AMC's channel, but I don't remember if they had it. I don't know where I watched it though, like the promo. But as far as things in the trailer, like we got to see a little bit like from before, but we do see like it's weird. Like we see Yumiko and Kelly, Daryl and Carol in the trailer, but we still don't know whether or not Magna, Jerry, or Connie are gonna escape the caves. Cause like those are the three characters that are in the caves currently that we don't see in other shots in the trailer. So like we don't see Magna, Connie, or Jerry at the hilltop or Alexandria, but we see Daryl, Carol, Kelly, and Yumiko, as well as Luke, even though he wasn't down there, and Aaron too. We see Aaron is at the Battle of the Hilltop. So I'm not really sure. Like it's possible. Like I don't think they're gonna kill off those three characters, but I definitely think like we might lose one or two characters. And even though I don't think like they would kill off Magna, I mean it's possible. Hey, Eastside Badger. He says plot twist: Negan and the Whisperers take over Alexandria, and imagine what Rick would think of that. Yeah, Rick would definitely regret keeping Negan alive. Like after all this time, he would like regret his decision so much. He would be devastated by his choice. And also he wouldn't even know who the Whisperers were. So he would have to be told who they are and all that. But obviously, yeah, that would be a big problem. Let's see. Uh, yeah, thanks for the comment, Eastside Badger. Epic says, I'm a huge fan of Telltale's The Walking Dead, but episode 4 of season 1 is my least favorite. Yeah, that, like, in a way, I would say that was maybe, like, the most filler episode, just because it doesn't really do much. Like, in episode 4, they're traveling in the city, and, they have to stop for Omid, and then they decide to get, supplies, and they get those supplies, but it's all pointless because in episode 5, like, the boat gets taken, so, as well as their supplies, so it's pretty much pointless. So, honestly, I don't really get the point of episode 4. It was pretty pointless. But that ending where Lee gets bitten, I mean, that still, like, just shocks me like crazy. That just, like, episode 4 ends with Lee getting bitten, and the people who go with you are determined by your past choices. Like, that was amazing. Like, that was one of probably the better parts of the episode. Dan says, yeah, wasn't the biggest fan of that one either. Yeah, that wasn't uh, yeah, that episode, I would definitely say episode 4. And even in pretty much all the Telltale games, episode 4s are pretty much like the worst. So, like, in other Telltale games like Wolf Among Us or Guardians of the Galaxy or whatever, it's always pretty much the episode 4 area where, not much happens because they have to set up for the finale episode. So, yeah. Eastside Badger says, Negan running Alexandria so much, yes. Yeah, I can't see Negan ever becoming leader of Alexandria, but like, I mean, if he did, Rick would be, so shocked. Like he let Negan live, and now he's running Alexandria. I mean, who would stay at Alexandria if Negan was in charge? I don't think anyone would stay. Dan says Negan as lead would be interesting to see how it would go. I'm not really sure, Dan. Like, do you mean as leader or as the lead, like in the series? Because like for both of them, I don't really see Negan working at that. Like if Negan is the leader of Alexandria, I can't see anyone really staying. And if Negan is the lead, I'm not sure how the fan base is gonna like that because I know a lot of people like Negan, but some still, really don't like him. So, or like they find him super cringy and just like they say he's a bad character. And I don't think he's a bad character. I just think in the beginning he was for the most part a bad villain, or like a badly written villain. And then like now he's much more interesting. But yeah. So as far as Negan being the leader, I don't see that. But as far as the like a partial lead in the series, I definitely see that more, and that would be interesting. And with Michonne leaving the series, he's got Jeffrey D. Morgan is going to need to probably step up. I mean, that is if they don't write him out of the story. I mean, who knows? Negan could possibly die at some point in the next year or so, so it's hard to say. Epic says, like episode 4, I don't like how they keep having characters disappearing. Hmm. You're talking about the Telltale game. I'm not really sure what you mean about the characters disappearing, Epic. Let's see. Eastside Badger says Negan running things would be better than Daryl. Like it or not, Negan understands and can read people. Yeah, that's true. But Daryl also, Daryl's got a big heart too, and he Daryl knows when to say things that are appropriate, but Negan doesn't have that filter. So I don't know if Negan could really run Alexandria. Plus, I mean, after the way he ran the sanctuary, and I just don't know. I just don't really see it because like I don't know if anyone would really want that. Yeah. Oh wait, sorry. Pop up ad. Let me close this. Let's see. Epic says episode 3 of season 1 was the saddest in my opinion, losing Lily, Duck, Katja, Carly/Doug. Yeah, I lost Carly in my story, and that was so sad. I mean, like, it was just like, I felt like part of my heart was ripped out, like, and the Kenny and Katja scene was, devastating too. Losing Lily was not that big of a deal. I mean, it kind of made sense because she had to go to the comic story, and I know what some people are going to say. They're going to say this is a different Lily, but I don't really consider it that way. You know, personally, in my head canon, I don't really consider it that way. But yeah. So thanks for the comment, Epic. Dan says, who do you think is a better villain, Alpha or Negan? Definitely Alpha. I would say like the governor is the top villain in the show, Alpha is second, and Negan is third. And that's crazy because in the comic, Negan is the number one villain. But like we've said on this channel, Negan was just not written well for season 7 and 8, and they had him be like a mediocre villain at times. Negan was just, I don't know, he was just very inconsistent. Like he talks about like lemonade and this and that, like he it talks about killing Carl, but then he says Carl was important and that he cared about him. So I don't know, Dan. It's just like I'm not saying like Negan like like he's supposed to be a villain. I'm just saying like I think he was just badly written because I really couldn't really understand what they were doing with Negan. Like was he supposed to be a more realistic version than the comic, or was he supposed to be exactly the same as the comic, or like a mixture? Like I didn't really know what they were doing at times. Let's see. Epic says Molly and Vernon. I'm talking about. Yeah. Oh, thanks, Epic. Yeah. Molly definitely. She disappeared. She appeared and disappeared in episode 4, and Vernon, like that made no sense either. And yeah, he disappeared too, and him and his group took the boat. Like, and that was just like I hated that. Like, I can't believe like Vernon did that to Lee and his group, betrayed them. I mean, that was just wrong in every way. I mean, they helped them, like seriously, like that's just terrible. Talk about being a coward, like honestly, he's like Gregory. Now that I think about it, a lot like Gregory. Hey Ryan, glad you made it. He says Alpha for sure. Yeah, I definitely agree, Ryan. Alpha is just, she's written so much better because like Alpha, she, on the outside she's evil, but on the inside she is still very evil, but she does care for Lydia. Like that's the one thing she can't let go of. But like Negan, we didn't really understand what he cared about, Like he talks about caring about his people, but he sacrificed them constantly. And when Rick's group kill like 50 or 60 saviors, Negan just pretends like it's not a big deal. So like I just don't understand, how it works with him, like what they were doing. Dan says, yeah, I agree. She's such a great villain. Yeah, I mean, also, unlike Negan, like, she's just so creepy. Like, do you guys remember when we first saw Alpha? Like, Alden and Luke got captured, and she was just standing still, as like looking like a walker, and like that was just like she was walking a little bit and then stopped. Like that was so creepy. Like I'm so glad they did that instead of in the comic, because in the comic Alpha just pointed a gun at Dante's head and said, "Don't move." Like I mean, the way they did in the show was just really good too, because a walker just like stopping in front of you, like that's just scary. So yeah, I mean, I like that scene. Let's see. Ryan says much more creepy and best written. I think the governor was the best written, but Alpha is very well written. I'll admit. Maybe not in episode 2 of the season. Like even in like episode 2, well, we are the end of the world. Like, I mean, that wasn't a great episode, but the fact that Alpha still cared about Lydia and she was just hiding it, like that part was good because that makes more sense. It feels more realistic to her character. Dan says Negan in season 8 especially was just terrible compared to the comics. Yeah, I agree, Dan. I mean, also like in the comics, Negan actually like when he said we were going to war, he actually tried to participate in the battle, but in the show he just wasn't there. Like he was trapped, and then he was captured by Jadis, and then he was running away from Rick. Like I just don't get it. Like what they were doing with Negan, because in the comic he actually was there leading his saviors to war against Rick's group, but in the show they just had him doing other things, and yeah, that didn't make sense. Eastside Badger says Negan is definitely better than Alpha. Alpha is good, but Negan understood that people were a resource, and Alpha abandoned babies. Yeah, that's true, Eastside Badger, but like the thing is like even Negan himself was inconsistent because like if people are a resource, why kill off Abraham who is a strong guy? You know what I mean? Like the first time he appeared and killed Abraham, like he says people are a resource and he kills some, but then Rick's group kill like 50, 60 saviors and he just I don't know, he just doesn't act as serious as he should be for that. You know what I mean? It's just weird. Like and like he says like people are a resource, but then he says we're going to war, but then he says people are a resource again. Like I never understood that. You know what I mean? Like is it always people are a resource? Because I thought that changed when they went to war. So that was just confusing. And Alpha abandoning babies, yeah, I mean that is cruel. I mean that is just dark. Yeah, thanks for the comment, Eastside Badger. Dan says that's one thing I love about Alpha. If it's not about her, she doesn't care. LOL. Yeah, I mean Negan was like at parts he was a good villain, but he definitely like just underestimated Rick's group so many times. But Alpha, like I don't think she ever really underestimates Rick's group, or I guess the group now because Rick's gone. But yeah, that's definitely something different about them. And as far as like she doesn't care, the one thing she still cares for is Lydia, and she's hiding that, which makes so much sense. Let's see. Eastside Badger says Negan is awesome. Governor was a good, and Alpha is too predictable. She's just too predictable. Um, what do you mean, Eastside Badger? Because I think Alpha is really a really good villain in the TV show. Like I mean, she plays guerrilla tactics, and you know, she messes with your mind. You think she's gonna do something like this, but then she doesn't. I mean, when Carol took a shot at Alpha, I thought she was gonna have someone killed, but she didn't. That wasn't predictable. Negan killed Glenn because Daryl punched him. That was predictable. So I mean, honestly, I don't think Alpha's predictable. Dan says Governor was awesome as well. Yeah, he was, Dan. I mean, I missed the Governor so much, but like I mean, he had to go. It was his time, honestly. Epic says also I know you hated Ben, but I do feel bad for him. If you kept him alive in episode 5, he talks about how his family, he doesn't know if they're alive or dead. Yeah, that's true. And if anyone doesn't know, Epic and I are just talking about the Walking Dead Telltale games, and we're talking about Ben, the character, as in the video game, not in the TV show, which I've mentioned before that I think it was a mistake to kill off. So, Epic, as far as Ben, like I definitely in my story, Ben died in episode 4, and I think that was I guess the best death for him, like canon wise. I think in my head canon that makes the most sense because I don't see him surviving till episode 5, and just the way he dies in episode 5, if he lives in episode 4, just I don't know, it just feels kind of forced, but it feels more realistic in episode 4. Yeah, and I mean I get it, but like I'm sorry, Epic, but like I wasn't a fan of Ben because he left Clementine to die in episode 4, and there was like no forgiveness for that. You know what I mean? So yeah. Epic says like his personality, he was a good person. I mean, yeah, I guess you can say that, Epic, but he was cowardly, and that put people in jeopardy. That put Clementine in jeopardy many times. So I just couldn't take that chance anymore. So yeah, but I understand what you're saying. I mean, he's a young guy. Of course, he's supposed to be like a good person, but in The Walking Dead, like he was screwing up, and you just can't have that. So yeah. Thanks for the comment. Eastside Badger says Alpha well written. No, she's basically just an animal and has no moral code, and she's hypocritical. Um, let's see. I mean, I respect your opinion, Eastside Badger. Let's see. So she's basically an animal. Yeah, I agree. She has no moral code. There definitely is something. Well, as far as like Lydia, I think Lydia is her moral code. Like she won't sacrifice Lydia, she won't kill her. I think that's the one thing that Alpha won't cross the line with. And as far as she's hypocritical, I mean, isn't every villain? You know what I mean? I mean, I don't know. I thought Negan was too at times. Like you know what I mean? Like the way Negan acts sometimes, like in season 7, when Rick's group kill 50 to 60 saviors, Negan acts like just a little bit mad. But when you know 2 guns are missing from the group, in Alexandria, they don't know. Like Negan acts just as mad, and it's like that doesn't make much sense. You know what I mean? Like it's just inconsistent. You know. Dan says, "Yeah, I know. He was a very likable character." Stupid Jared. Yeah, agree, Dan. I mean, we will forever on this channel. We will hate Jared the character. I mean, just like probably the worst character in all of The Walking Dead, and like definitely in The Walking Dead show, and definitely like the most hated or one of the most hated. Exactly. So yeah, we won't forget. Eastside Badger says he killed off Abraham to send a message because Abe was Rick's best guy. I mean, yes and no, Eastside Badger. Like Rick's best guy was, I think, I would say it was Daryl. You know what I mean? I mean, sure, Abraham was Rick's biggest guy, but I definitely think that Daryl was Rick's best guy, and Glenn was up there too. Like, and like Negan says people are a resource, but he kills off Glenn, who's a great supply runner and great fighter, and Abraham, who is very strong and knows military things. I'm just saying, like Negan says people are a resource, but he kills a lot of people who can provide a resource. You know what I mean? Like the Doctor in season 7. Like I'm just saying, like Negan doesn't have the best track record with that. I mean, like sometimes I don't quite understand what he means by people are a resource, Like, what's his filter to not killing people and then to killing certain people? Like, he didn't kill Sasha or Rosita, but he kills Glenn and Abraham? Like, I just don't understand. Is it because they're guys? Like, I'm just trying to understand Negan's process. Epic says, by the way, it looks like Negan picked Abraham on purpose, or the season 7 premiere, it makes it look like he picked Abe on purpose. Yeah, I mean, I think they confirmed and said that it was on purpose, but I still don't understand. Like, I get that Abraham is dangerous, but or like he can see Abraham and notice he's dangerous, but then again, it's like, shouldn't Negan want someone like Abraham on his side? So I don't know. Like, why would he want Daryl on his side before Abraham? You know what I mean? It's just a little weird. Dan says, I agree. He knew that Abraham wouldn't back down, so he took him out. Yeah, Dan, I guess that makes sense, but still, it's one of those things like, well, it wasn't random then, like the Lucille picking was rigged, unlike the comic, it wasn't rigged. And as far as like, Abraham not backing down, I mean, Daryl got shot in the shoulder and then punched Negan. I mean, the fact that Negan thought he could, make Daryl his own after that is just, I'm sorry, it's idiotic. I mean, I'm just saying it just like I mean, sure, Abraham, he could look at him and know he won't back down. But you know what I mean? But then why kill off Glenn, who he could have probably used? Like Negan probably could have saw Glenn and been like, I can make him on my side because I know he cares for the woman, Maggie. But as far as Daryl, like I don't understand. Like Daryl is the type of guy who will never back down. I mean, he stood up and punched Negan even though his shoulder was injured. I'm just saying, like, if he wanted people that he can use, manipulate, Glenn seemed like a good candidate for that. You know what I mean? Because even though like even though I love Glenn more than Daryl, Glenn is more manipulative than Daryl is because Glenn has certain weaknesses, like Maggie. So yeah, let's see. Eastside Badger says Negan had to show the Alexandrians who weren't in the lineup who was boss. Um, I'm not quite sure. Let's see. Negan had to show the Alexandrians who weren't in the lineup who was boss. Do you mean by killing Abraham and Glenn? I'm not sure what you mean, Eastside Badger. Dan says Daryl was his right hand. Oh, sorry. Dan says Daryl was his right hand man. It made me so worried when we saw the sneak peek of the season 7 premiere because it made it look like he killed Daryl. Yeah, I agree, Dan. I'll admit that. And I don't know. It's just one of those things where it's like, why did they heavily hint that Rick lost his right hand man and Rick didn't? You know what I mean? Like, he only lost like Glenn and Abraham, and neither of them were his right hand man. In the comics they were, but Daryl always took that spot. Ever since season 1, or I guess season 2, technically. But um, you know what I mean? Like they were trying to mislead us. I get that, but if they wanted to mislead us, like I still don't understand like the season 7 trailer. Like they didn't show anyone in the lineup. You know what I mean? Like after that scene, and we knew it wasn't Rick or Carl that died. So I don't know. Let's see. Epic says, I hate how Andy and Ian don't care about the fans. If they did care, they make the show good, but they're continuing to make it garbage. So that means Fear the Walking Dead showrunners don't care about the fans. Yeah, I agree, Epic. I mean, it's just sad that they don't care about what the fans think. And I mean, like we've discussed on the channel, we can write some amazing things. Like we have some amazing ideas and some amazing stories that we can do. But these writers of Fear, they think they're just so much better. And yes, they have the degree, they have the position, but we have something, that they don't have. We have passion, we have integrity. We care about the lore of this franchise, and we don't want it, the story or the characters to be inconsistent. But the Fear writers don't care about that. All they care about is making money and just getting it done at the end of the day. So yeah, let's see. Eastside Badger says Daryl wasn't Rick's right hand man. If anything, I think Michonne was his right hand. Daryl and Rick's relationship was starting to strain at that point. I'm not sure, Eastside Badger. I mean, at the end of season 6, I don't really remember it straining. Not really sure. As far as I don't know. I still think that Daryl was Rick's right hand man. But if you think it was Michonne, I understand. It's just that I don't know. I really thought it was Daryl. You know what I mean? Let's see. Epic says, by the way, the season 8 trailer was also a bad trailer. Agreed, Epic. I mean, like even the music, like it sounded like there was cowbell. You know what I mean? At the beginning, and I don't know. Just like the music was not the greatest, and certain shots just did not work. And Ezekiel saying something like "Trust the King," like it was just kind of cringy. I don't know. Let's see. Dan says the season 7 trailer was so hyped and it was the worst trailer ever. It had great music, but that's it. LOL. Yeah, Dan. And by the way, do you remember they showed deleted scenes in the trailer, like with Dwight and Arat? And if no one knows who Arat is, she's the woman who killed Olivia in the season 7 mid-season finale, and eventually she got killed by Sydney from Oceanside in season 9. But anyways, they showed deleted scenes in the trailer that we never got to see in the episodes. So the trailer, 90% of the trailer was just old footage from the previous seasons and like deleted scenes that we never got to see. So, I mean, that was 90% of the trailer. So, like how could they do that to us? That was just terrible. Like I get it. In the trailer you want to kind of mislead the fans, but 90% of it being like not even in the actual episode or in the season, like that's just wrong. They can't do that to us, and they shouldn't have. Dan said The music in the season 8 trailer was kind of weird. It didn't fit at all. Yeah, I agree, Dan. I mean, I was looking for something more like pump, more like rock music or something, like something, energetic, but like it just started off with those, cowbell sounds or something and it just I don't know, it just really did not work for me. And certain like I said, certain parts like Ezekiel saying trust the king and I don't know, certain things that we were seeing and it just it didn't make sense. But yeah, thanks for the comment. Epic says, in a way, we are the bosses because AMC get their money from us buying the merch. Yeah, that's true, Epic. And honestly, I haven't bought much merchandise from The Walking Dead in a while. It's been like maybe over a year, honestly. Like I don't really buy too much of like Walking Dead merch. I'm kind of struggling with money, so I try to be careful as best I can. I mean, the last Walking Dead TV merch I got was maybe I don't know. It was like maybe 3 years ago. The Glenn and Negan, like action figures or something. I'm not sure. Epic says season 9 trailer music was amazing. Yeah, Epic, it was. It was absolutely amazing. I mean, the shots look great and everything, and we still cannot figure out what was going on. You know what I mean? In a good way. Let's see. Eastside Badger says, look at the fights Rick and Daryl got into in season 8 and 9, and then conspiring with Maggie to hurt or kill Rick. Yeah, I'll admit, Eastside Badger, that was weird. I mean, like the fighting with Rick, I mean, that wasn't too much. Like they overhyped that big time. I think like I don't remember who it was, but they said like Rick and Daryl's gonna punch Rick or something, and there were like articles. It got overhyped. You know what I mean? And as far as conspiring to hurt Rick, yeah, that was poor writing as well. I mean, like they I think they said like no, they're not talking about that. Daryl and Maggie are not talking, as well as Paul. They're not talking about hurting or killing Rick. But when you see that scene again, it really implies it really you really think that's what's happening. The visuals, that's what they're telling you. And I think that's just poor writing. If Scott Gimple like like did he write the script to say, it's heavily hinted that Maggie wants to hurt or kill Rick, and they filmed it like that. But then did Scott Gimple regret what he did? I mean, I don't know. That was just so weird. Because Mackie and Daryl did not intend to hurt or kill Rick, why did they film it like that? Like they heavily implied it with that scene. And you also say Michonne would have never turned on Rick like that. Never. Yeah, I agree, Epic. I'm sorry, not Epic, Eastside Badger. I agree. Michonne is extremely loyal to Rick, and one decision is not going to change her loyalty to him, but it changed it for Daryl, Paul, and Maggie. But in a way, it's understandable because, you know, Rick did make a promise to them, and Rick kind of did betray them by keeping Negan alive, you know, because at the time, Negan had to die, but then obviously now it's too late. Dan says, yeah, I know what happened to those clips. It's not even a deleted scene on the Season 7 Blu-ray either, so where is it? Come on. Walking Dead Season 7 was bad enough, lol. Yeah, I don't know, Dan. I think one of the scenes, Dwight and Arat were supposed to chase down that guy Gordon, and, they come across, like, walkers, I guess, and there was supposed to be a scene where Benjamin, like, gets trapped in a car by walkers, and Morgan and Ezekiel get a ladder and they're trying to help him. I don't know what they intend to do with the ladder, but like they probably get him out or something. And I don't know what happened to those scenes either. And I just think that's how bad season 7 was. I mean, if it was so bad that they had to delete or get rid of even the deleted scenes, like I'm sorry, but that was just poor writing. Like if you're writing a story, and you're writing a scene, don't like film that scene and then just never show it again. Like that is so weird. Like why film the scene if it's not, with the episode, or if you don't have enough time for it, or if you can't even fit it on the Blu-ray? Like why even film that scene? Why bother? I don't know. That was just really weird, Dan. I mean, honestly, I don't know. It's got to be poor writing. Epic says, also it seems like the showrunners don't care about fear as well because they're making it so silly and goofy. Yeah, I agree, Epic. I mean, Jenny as a villain is just laughable, and let's not forget Tom's selfie death. I miss Fear the Walking Dead when there was actually fear in the story. And I mean, besides Alicia getting almost infected and dying, I really was not scared pretty much at all in season 4 or 5. I think that was pretty much the only times I was. I mean, season 4 with Nick's death, that was good, but besides those moments, like there's only a few moments in season 4 and 5 that I was scared or I was like shocked. Very few moments. Like I don't know, it's just it doesn't feel like The Walking Dead to me. Like we never got in Fear the Walking Dead. We never got a brutal moment like the season 7 lineup, or the Pike deaths, or we never got a moment like that in Fear, and that's just bad. Like this is supposed to be in the same universe, and we don't even get interesting things like that. It's sad. Dan says, I think season 7 could have been better just by one thing. Angela King, no Gimple, just her, and it would have been awesome. Yeah, I agree, Dan. I mean, we'll see when season 10 returns if it lives up to the hype, because this is going to be one of the most hyped second halves of a season ever. So hopefully the next 8 episodes of The Walking Dead season 10 are amazing, because you know this probably will define Angela King, as a writer, because season 9 was amazing, but the first half of season 10 was really slow, and the second half I think is going to determine. So we've seen like the best of Angela King in season 9, and then a little bit on the worst side for season 10. So let's hope that the second half is the better side. Epic says in the season 8 finale, Rick should have told everyone I kept him alive because it's what Carl wanted. I mean, yeah, or like he could have did it like in the comic where Rick says, "I'm keeping him alive to, like we can't keep killing each other. We need to establish law and order." They really should have done that instead of killing off Carl, because it just doesn't make sense. Or they could have killed off Morgan. I don't know. It's just so weird. Carl, he wasn't a moral character in season 7. He wasn't a pacifist, and then all of a sudden, what, like a few days later, he becomes a pacifist, and I don't know. It's just so odd. But yeah, they definitely could have done something like that. Dan says, yeah, because people would have probably understood a little bit more if he said that. Yeah, I don't know what happened in the season 8 finale. I mean, besides the budget issue, obviously, you know, they got rid of all the guns because it was a budget issue. But as far as, the whole Rick speech, I don't know. It just kind of felt off, you know? I don't know, Dan. It was weird. But yeah, I mean, even Maggie, like, she wasn't accepting it. And Rick didn't even tell her that's what Carl wanted, and maybe she would have understood it more if he said that. Epic says, literally, Fear is supposed to be in the same universe as The Walking Dead, but it feels more like Z Nation. Yeah, I agree, Epic. I haven't seen Z Nation, but I trust your word, and like it's supposed to be, like you said, in the same universe. I mean, I've written, like stories, like in the Walking Dead universe, my own fan made stories, and I deal with a lot of messed up things in my story, and it's more darker than Fear, honestly. Like I'm gonna say that, and it's just sad that these writers who get a what 6-figure salary can't even do something a fan could do. It's just sad. Eastside Badger says Maggie blamed Rick and gave Daryl a pass for Glenn. She should have hung Gregory and Daryl to be realistic. Oh wow, Eastside Badger. I mean, like, hu- like hanging Gregory like is one thing, but like Daryl too. Oh man, um, I don't know about that. I mean, if I was Maggie, I at least I don't know. Like if I was writing it, I would have had at least where Maggie she can't like look at Daryl, because like when she looks at him, she even though she doesn't want to admit it, she wishes it was him that died instead of Glenn. So as far as hanging Gregory, absolutely. Daryl, I mean, he didn't mean to. I'm not saying Daryl should get a free pass, but I'm just saying Daryl should definitely have some. Maggie should definitely have more, hostility towards Daryl. I mean, she kind of forgave him quick. I mean, Glenn was the last, thing in this world for her, and it's just Daryl kind of indirectly, took that from her. Yeah. So yeah, thanks for the comment. Dan says, in Fear we just get stupid villains, then we watch The Walking Dead and see Alpha, and it's like is what we've been waiting for. This is what we've been waiting for. Yeah, I agree, Dan. I mean, we need villains like that in Fear the Walking Dead, like intimidating, tough, and that I remember like I mentioned like well, I remember watching your video how you would write Fear, and I put in my version, like I would bring in a new character, a new villain, and he's charismatic, threatening, smart, like, and all this stuff, and he comes out of nowhere a few episodes in season 6, and he kills, Virginia, and like, all this stuff happens, like chaos, and he has like multiple plans, backup plans. He doesn't underestimate people, and yeah, I mean, honestly, like, I wish something like that could have happened, because it's really sad that we never got that. Let's see, what else is there? Wait, where am I? Oh, wait, here it is. Dan says Z Nation is actually a fun series, but goofy, but it's meant to be. But Fear is called Fear the Walking Dead for a reason. Yeah, I agree, Dan. I mean, like, if Z Nation wants to be a comedy zombie apocalypse series, that's its thing. But The Walking Dead is not supposed to be, comedy. It's supposed to be, sometimes hopeful, but then very dark and very thrilling. That's how it's supposed to be. Eastside Badger says Daryl was stupid to hit Negan at the lineup. What was he going to accomplish? I have no idea, Eastside Badger. I mean, we've been arguing about this for like 3.5 years with people, and honestly, I don't know myself. It's just so hard to. I don't know what he was thinking. I mean, he could have got everyone killed, and I don't understand why Daryl stood up either, because he was shot. He had an injured shoulder, and like, I just hate that the point of Daryl getting shot in season 6, episode 15, was just to, have a cliffhanger and shock value. So yeah, Epic says, yeah, like Fear season 3, the Autos were better villains than Martha, Jenny, and Logan. Yeah, I agree, Epic. I mean, it's just even that guy Taka, like the Native American guy, even he was a better villain than any of those three, and that's just so like weird. Like the villains in Fear, like we haven't had one good villain in Fear, I don't think, or like, I mean, maybe we've had a good villain, but not like pretty good or amazing. But The Walking Dead has had like two, really good villains, but it's just sad that Fear has had way more villains. They've had like 2 or 3 times as many, and not like none of them compare. So yeah, that's sad. And Dan agrees. He says definitely. Yeah, I don't know what it is. Just, I mean, like, can the writers just ask us what we want to see in a villain, and then they just make a character like that? Just like listen to the fans. Dan says that's season 7 and 8. Daryl, he just doesn't think things through. Yeah, that's true, Dan. I mean, that's true. It's just sad that his character went so downhill for people. I mean, like, you sacrifice a character like Glenn for Daryl, and then you just make Daryl unlikable for 2 years straight. I mean, that's just not exactly the smart way to tell a story. But yeah, and oh, Eastside Badger says if I was Negan, I would have beat Daryl and then made him take a bath. Yeah, Eastside Badger, I would have given him a haircut too. I definitely would have done that as well, because yeah, Daryl definitely needed one as well as a bath. Um, but yeah, I mean, also we still have not gotten Easy Street. Like, we're probably never gonna hear that song again. So yeah. Um. So let's see. Oh yeah. So, like, do you guys think? Oh wait, hold on. Epic says we've had good villains in seasons 1 to 3, but these new showrunners are always introducing terrible villains in Fear. Yeah, and they're also very short villains. I don't understand why the villains are like super short. They're like around for maybe 8 episodes. I mean, it just doesn't make sense. Dan says there's Alexandria. They have showers. Like, come on. Yeah, I agree, Dan. Also, like, I'm pretty sure every community has showers, but like Alexandria definitely. And yeah, he says take a shower, Daryl. Yeah, I agree, Dan. And it's so ridiculous. Like, in the past, like years ago, I told people in the comments, I'm like, when is Daryl gonna take a shower? And they were like, it's a zombie apocalypse. Like, they don't have the luxury of showers. And I'm just thinking, I'm like, do you watch the same show I am? Alexandria has showers. They literally like established that the first time the characters arrived there. I mean, it's weird. Let's see. Epic says thank the Holly. I hated the Easy Street song. I'm glad we're never hearing it again. Eastside Badge says love me some Easy Street. I listened to it on a YouTube hour-long loop. Um, um, well, I'm impressed, Eastside Badger. I can't do an hour. I can do maybe a couple minutes, and that's it. But yeah, and if you guys like, so I was looking at the promo and thinking about it, and so we still haven't seen Connie, Magna, and Jerry anywhere outside the cave. We know that Daryl, we know Daryl, Carol, Aaron, and Kelly get out of the cave, but we never see the other characters. So I was just wondering, like, do you guys think it's possible that or Magna or let's see, Jerry or Connie, so Magna, Connie, or Jerry, do you think? So we know that most likely one of them might die, but could you see two dying, or could you see like something crazy, like Magna dying? Because I know she's not dead in the comic, but could you see the show doing something different like that? Because I don't know, they're setting up Jerry's death too. It's too obvious, but I really hope it's not Connie. And Magna, I'm not sure if they would kill her off. So yeah, let me know if you what you guys think. Eastside Badger says I should be a savior. Well, if you are a savior, I mean, Eastside Badger, you're probably gonna get wiped out. I mean, there's only like 5 saviors left. There's Gracie, there's Negan, Laura, Alden, and I think some guy named Quan. Like I actually have to check the wiki for that, but like there's very few saviors left. Let's see. Epic says, "Oh my gosh, that song is trash." Yeah, it kind of is. Dan says that the song is good for like 5 minutes. Then after you're just like Daryl did. LOL. Feel like Daryl. I mean, yeah, I agree, Dan. That song is it's not something you want to listen to for a long time. Sorry. Epic says, by the way, I feel the walker coming out of the grave is Dante because it looks like a male hand. Yeah, Epic, I kind of have to disagree with you there a little bit because here's why. Because they didn't bury Dante. Father Gabriel, after Father Gabriel killed Dante, he took his body to a pyre and burned him. That's what that scene was with Rosita and him, back in the first half of season 10. Because if you think about it, the grave has a cross, and I don't think they would bury Dante with a cross. I think that grave is Grandma Cheryl's, but I don't think the hand is hers. I think it's Beta's. I don't know how, but somehow Beta is gonna sneak into Alexandria from the ground up. I don't know how he's gonna do it, but I had this theory, and I think I'm right. I know Ronnie Hayes made a new video about that, but I remember seeing it, and I pieced it kind of together, pretty quickly. I have a feeling that Beta is just going to sneak in Alexandria. He's going to use some kind of tunnel and sneak on top. I don't know how they're going to do it, but I have a feeling like that's going to happen, and that's going to be terrifying because like Beta is already super dangerous, but at nighttime and when you don't know he's coming, I mean that's just terrifying. Let's see. Eastside Badger says Magna needs to go. I like Jerry, but how much story is left for him? Connie needs to live. Yeah, I agree. I agree, Eastside Badger. Magna, I'm not a huge fan of. As far as like Jerry, I mean, I guess there's not much story to tell for him, but I mean, they could make Jerry like darker. They could have him deciding like, that he needs to be a tougher character, like because he's got a wife and like 3 kids, so maybe I don't know, maybe they could have him fight Beta or something sometime. I don't know, like just maybe make him like a little darker, like give him some scenes, some dialogue would be nice, just a little bit. I don't think they should kill him off. And as far as Connie, yeah, Connie needs to live. I mean, she's the most likable person in Magna's group, so killing her off will be a mistake. If Angela Kang kills off Connie when The Walking Dead returns, I'm gonna add a Scott Gimple point or something on her record because that's not good writing. You don't kill off the most interesting character right when we come back. It's just it's a mistake. We need characters like Connie to keep watching. Because already we're losing. The show's losing a lot of viewers. Dan says, I think Beta is underground and it's him. Yeah, I agree, Dan. I mean, also when you look at the hand, the hand it's long, it's kind of like fresh, or like, like skin is not wrinkly, and he's wearing a kind of jacket, so I think most likely it is, Beta. I don't think it's Grandma Cheryl, and I don't think it's Dante. Dante and Grandma Cheryl were wearing different clothes, and they don't, they didn't turn. There's no way either of them would turn. Father Gabriel, took care of Dante. to make sure he wouldn't turn or come back. And I'm pretty sure the grandma was taken care of too. So, yeah. Dan says, I love Connie. She better live. Yeah, I agree, Dan. If she dies, like Angela King is going to take a page out of the Gimple, writing because it's just, I mean, why kill off the most interesting character in Magnus Group and one of the few characters from season 9 who we find interesting and relatable? I mean, there wasn't many characters who are still alive from season 9 to now. I mean, there was like Dog and Connie, I think. That was pretty much it. So we need more characters like that. Epic says, like, imagine if Ezekiel dies and he says his final goodbye to Jerry, and then he becomes a darker character. Yeah, Epic, I agree. Just something like that. Like, maybe Jerry finds out that Ezekiel has cancer, and this makes Jerry, like, starting to become a darker character. Plus, like, we know the Whisperers are going to attack the hilltop, and Jerry's family is there, so I definitely think they should make Jerry a little bit of a darker character, because, like, his family's in danger, like, he's got to be serious. I hope they write him like that. Eastside Badger says, if 10B is like 10A, I will call Kang Mrs. Gimple seriously. I don't know if I would do that, but definitely, like, Angela King's writing is just, I mean, like, season 10 will be a pretty boring season. I mean, sure, it's not as bad as season 7 or season 8, but it's up there. Like, the first half is just really not that great, but here's hoping the second half is better, and I'm sure it's going to be. Epic says, same with Dog. If Dog dies, I'll be pissed. Yeah, I agree, Epic. I mean, they've killed off so many horses and a tiger in the show. Just enough with killing animals. Have an animal survive the series. I mean, that would be nice. Plus, like, I can guarantee that whatever, like, when The Walking Dead ends, if they have Dog, survive to the final episode and he's got like puppies, like, I'm sure everyone will love that. I think everyone will love that ending because we don't want a Game of Thrones situation where everyone says like they hated that ending. Because if they do that with Dog, what I described, like, I'm sure everyone will say like, oh, this ending was way better than the Game of Thrones ending. So yeah. Dan says, I don't want either of them to die, but I think they could both die, unfortunately, because especially Ezekiel because of his cancer. Yeah, Dan, I don't know. I don't see both Connie and Jerry dying, but it is possible, and I hope it doesn't happen because Connie and Jerry are like one of the few interesting minor characters left in the show, and it would just be a mistake to kill them off. Like, they can kill off someone like, I don't know, Scott or Cindy from Oceanside or Rachel, like, just anyone else, like, that we don't find interesting. I mean, yeah. As far as like Ezekiel with the cancer thing, I don't know how long they're gonna stretch that story out. Cause, like, I mean, let's see. I mean, the cancer, like, it's not looking too bad. So Ezekiel could survive if he doesn't die in the war. He could survive to like season 11, and then maybe even season 12, and then he would die. I mean, we just don't know. Eastside Badger says, if Alicia dies or Dog dies, we ride. Absolutely, Eastside Badger. If Alicia dies, I'm not watching Fear anymore, just like Ronnie Hayes. And if Dog dies, it's like, he was like one of the few characters from season 9 still alive that I find interesting. So that would be a big mistake. But yeah, I would definitely be mad, and we have every right to be. I mean, this show has killed off enough characters, and I mean, not enough characters. Sorry, enough animals. I mean, come on, like, keep the animals around for a little longer. Epic says, like, yeah, and Judith is attached to Dog. That's why she ran off into the snowstorm after Dog. Yeah, that makes sense, Epic. Thanks for pointing that out. Dan says, not much happened in season 10. Like I always say, it's like a fancy season 7 because it's a bunch of build up. Yeah, I agree, Dan. As long as, at least it's not build up like season 7, because like season 7 was all build up. And, a whole season of just building up to a war, and then a whole season of just war. Like, that's where Gimple really messed up on. Besides, obviously, the dumpster and the cliffhanger and killing off Carl. Like, having a whole season of just building up to a war, like, that was a big mistake. It should have been just half a season, or he could have extended it, like maybe an episode or two in the first half. But a whole season like that, just big mistake. Let's see, we're all cut up now. We've been going on for about 54 minutes now. Let's see. Let's see. I'm gonna take a sip of water while I wait for some more replies. By the way, guys, thank you all for coming tonight. I really appreciate it. I mean, I've done 10 live streams now. It's crazy. Sure, it's not like 100 like super entertainment videos, but you know, it's nice. It's a good milestone for this small channel. Let's see. Eastside Badger says season 10. I'm sorry, 10B is going to be great though. Yeah, I can feel it, Eastside Badger. I'm just worried that they might kill off the wrong characters. I don't think it's going to be slow. I think it's going to be very fast paced, but like I said, I just hope they don't kill off the wrong characters because a lot of people are saying Rosita can die, Gabriel can die, Aaron can die, Connie, Yumiko, Magna, Kelly, Jerry, Ezekiel, like people are saying like those type of people can die, and I'm just like that's too many. And I understand why they say that, but like there's so many reasons why I could die. Like Father Gabriel's comic death is coming up. Rosita outlived her comic book counterpart, and she's got a new show now. So like there's a reason for each character possibly dying, and I'm just worried. Like I'm very unsure about a lot of characters' fates. Let's see. Epic says, yeah, yeah, season 7 was built up to a terrible war in my opinion. In all our opinions, Epic. I mean, like the war was just terribly done. Like Negan missed most of it because he was captured, or he was running away from Rick, or he was trapped by walkers. Like Negan missed most of that war, and Rick and the group, like they were really the villains if you think about it, because Daryl crashed a truck into the sanctuary and killed innocent people, and Rick and Morgan killed innocent saviors who were helping them. So yeah, I mean, just I don't know. It just really was not a smart idea how they did All Out War. I mean, it was the best. I think it was like the best arc in the comics, and they just made it into the worst season in the show, or like second worst season. But yeah, thanks for the comment. Dan says, by the way, I love Ronnie's new Flaws in Oz series. It's a good way of looking at episodes, but he actually thinks that We Are the End of the World is the best episode of season 10. Oh, Dan, I disagree with that heavily. There's so many problems with We Are the End of the World. Like I said in my review, Alpha and Beta just cutting up Walker guts and just like putting on their face as if it's like Play-Doh or something, or like they're finger painting with blood. It's just like they should be infected. You know what I mean? And it's so bad, like the way they did that. And I'm still kind of confused on timeline. Like how exactly they established the whispers. We didn't really get to see that, and you know what I mean. Like also like yeah, like Beta put on the mask, but like we still didn't get to see his face. Like I thought this was supposed to be the backstory episode, but we kind of got that in season 9, so it really felt filler to me. But I will say that one good thing about the episode was Alpha, telling Beta like, that I do miss Lydia. Like I did not kill her. All that was a lie. You know, like that's the one line she won't cross. So I think that part was necessary, but everything else really was not necessary. For a whole episode. So yeah, thanks for the reply, Dan. And I mean, don't get me wrong, Ronnie Hayes has an amazing channel, a very big channel, but he's like even when I'm trying to give him amazing questions on his live streams, he misses half of them. He definitely misses like at least half of my questions, and unfortunately, even though I do at Make a Pat Present, so it's highlighted. So that is a bit of an issue, and he does talk a lot in the articles. Like he a little bit too much on it, if I can be honest. But yeah, yeah. Anyways, Epic says like I don't understand why they kill horses. Like horses are very useful, and when we get new horses, they kill the previous ones. Like the one Morgan found in season 6, it got killed off too quickly. Yeah, Epic. How did it die again? I forgot. How did? I forgot how the horse died. The one that Morgan got. Can you tell me how it died? Like, did they kill it off screen or something? I think I remember when season 7 was picking up. I think I remember like there was a dead horse when they were taking Carol to the kingdom, and we don't get to see how it died. I don't know. Are you talking about that? And you also say, like, that's one thing I don't get is all the way back in season 1, Rick says, don't get any on your skin or in your eyes before rubbing the guts on him, and Glenn in episode 2 guts. Yeah, it's been so inconsistent in the show, Epic. I mean, like, Rick got zombie at the end of season 5, Rick, you know, got zombie blood all over his face, and then Sasha cut Abraham with a blade that had Walker blood on it. And there's just so many times, like, where characters should be infected. Like, even Nick from Fear, he just puts Walker blood all over his face, and there's no way he didn't get any in his eyes. And, like, even Father Gabriel, he gets Walker blood in his eye, I guess. We don't see it, and then he loses his eye. Like, it's so inconsistent, honestly. Like, and then Negan says you get one drop of it in your bloodstream and you die. Like, I don't know. It's just so inconsistent. Like, Gimple really was not doing a good job. Like, in seasons 1, 2, and 3, like, the Walker blood was consistent. They didn't get in their bodies. But then in season 5, they started getting, Walker blood in them so easily. And, like, and then, like, season 6, they were getting more Walker blood in them, and then season 7, and then season 8, they decided it was lethal. And I told people this for years, and they, said I was stupid, that they're all the characters are infected. But it's so ridiculous. People don't understand that the reason someone dies when you get Walker blood in you is because from an infection. You get someone else's blood, a different blood type in you, and that kills you. Like, they don't understand that's the reason why it happens. And a Walker blood, like, is full of bacteria. That's why it kills you. People don't understand that. It's just, that's so bad. Like they think, oh, everyone's infected, so they make it sound like you could just drink Walker blood from a glass. Like, it's just so ridiculous. Like, those are just bad fans of The Walking Dead. They immediately judge you for saying something without even thinking. Sorry, I was kind of on a rant there. Let's see. Epic says on the way to the kingdom, they got attacked by walkers and it got devoured. Dan says the horse died in the well, season 7, episode 2, but I believe it was off screen. Yeah, I don't understand that, Dan. Why was it off screen? Because like I just don't understand that, because, like, wasn't Morgan on it? Like, it's just weird to me. Like, we didn't even see that many walkers around them. Like, they were traveling to the kingdom, and somehow a horse got taken, and, like, it would make sense if there were like 100 zombies that attacked them, but there was only like 12 zombies at most. So I don't understand how they were getting overwhelmed and the horse got killed. Like, I'm sorry, but, like, a horse cannot be killed by 1 or 2 or even 3 walkers. It's got to be like a dozen, or like 20 or something, like in the first episode. Let's see. Epic says, like that scene in season 6 where Rick cuts his hand on the machete sticking out of the walker on his back, way back to the RV. Yeah, I know what you're talking about, Epic. Rick was running, and he came across an Alexandrian's dead body, and he saw some walkers, and he killed them, but he got cut. And I don't get the point of that. Like, why did they have Rick get cut? What was the point of that scene? But they had him get cut. Like, they focused on it. You know what I mean? Like, Rick was actually looking at it, and then when Rick gets to Alexandria, he just bandages it up, and like it didn't happen. Like, I don't understand the point of that. And I was telling people, like, okay, Rick should die from that infection, and people were saying, no, Rick is immune, or Walker blood doesn't do that. Like, they were not saying, like, yeah, that was an error or something, because that's how I believe it in the story. It was definitely an error when Rick cut his hand on a Walker blood machete, and he didn't die. Rick is not immune because Carl died. Let's remember Carl died from a bite, and you know, like, Rick cut his hand, like Tobin, like, he died from a Walker blood weapon, but Rick didn't. And people say he's immune, but he's not, because Carl died, and also Kurtman said that no one is immune. You know, and also I don't think you can be immune from bad blood, like tainted blood, like infection, bacteria. No one's immune from that. It's just not possible. Eastside Badger says, anyone remember how fast the walkers were in season 1? They were fast. Yeah, I remember Eastside Badger. And also, they can climb the fences, they could pick up rocks, teddy bears, like, they could do all this stuff. And that's because Frank Darabont, Frank Darabont, he wanted to make the walkers kind of like smart, and they kind of regretted that in the show, so they kind of retconned that in season 2 and so on. But yeah, thanks for the reply. Yeah, I remember. Man, I missed that. That's when I started watching The Walking Dead back in season 1. I'm not joking. Like, I've been a fan since the very beginning. It's just crazy, man. I watched it through the show first, not the comic. Dan says, I like how they get slower over time because it's realistic, but yeah, that was crazy. I mean, it kind of makes. I agree, Dan. It makes sense why they're slower over time, but we still get ninja walkers. You know what I mean, Dan? In season 5 and 6, like, and so on and so on, we still get like ninja walkers that just pop out of nowhere, and I hate that so much. And I don't know if it was just Gimple, but it definitely, like, ninja walkers definitely were, very much present when Gimple was showrunner, so that was an issue. Epic says also in season 5 finale, Rick was pinned by Walker, and it's juice or spit sprayed all over his face. Yeah, I agree, Epic. I mentioned that earlier. In the season 5 finale, that was so fake and so bad. Rick did not need to be covered in blood for that scene. Like, I'm sorry, was Gimple writing it and was like, we need Rick covered in blood, for this scene, and it's not necessary. It's just, I don't know why Gimple decided that was a good idea. Like, did Gimple not read the comic? Because I remember reading I remember watching that and being like, okay, isn't Rick infected? Because I remember All Out War in the comic. All Out War establishes that if you get Walker blood in you, you're gonna die. But yeah, that was weird. Dan says, I know, right? How did he not die from that? That is a huge Scott Gimple error, Dan. The best way to make sense of it is to just disregard that, just retcon it. It never happened. And I know that's so weird because Rick comes with blood, to the Alexandria meeting, but like, just pretend that never happened. Like, pretend Rick had a clean face, because that's the only way I can make sense of that. Because yeah, Rick should have died from that. It was so unrealistic, you know. And I mean, he got in his mouth too. Just even if it was an alive person, that would still be bad for you. And it was a dead zombie, so I mean, just ugh. And let's see, Epic says, yeah, that was dumb. How in episode 3, Walker's snuck up on David and he got bit on his back. Yes, Epic, thank you. I hated that so much. They immediately, like, I get that they wanted to kill off the Alexandrians, but you immediately have, like, a ninja zombie come out of nowhere and just bite David, and that just did not make any sense. Like, that was literally a ninja zombie, and it's so bad. That's terrible writing. You know, just I don't get what the point of that scene was. Were they trying to show the Alexandrians are weak? Because even Daryl or even Carl got bit too. Not by ninja zombies, but like, that happens. Carl would have gotten bit by a ninja walker too. Like, that doesn't prove a person is weak or tough. You know, if a person cannot handle two walkers in front of them, they're weak. But if a person gets bit by a ninja zombie, that doesn't mean they're weak. So I don't get what the point of that was. Eastside Badger says, why did Rick not go back for that tank? A tank battle would have been awesome in season 4, episode 4, tank versus tank. I mean, yeah, that's true, Eastside Badger, but they needed a tank operator, and I don't think anyone in the group knew how to do that. And as far as why didn't it go back, well, Atlanta is very dangerous, and that was like in the heart of the city, so they probably thought it wasn't worth it. Plus, you got to see if there's gas in it. So I understand it would have been awesome, but they just couldn't do that. That scene was awesome. Yeah, I agree, Dan. Oh, wait, you're talking about Daryl put a grenade in the tank. Yeah, I'll admit, Dan, that scene was awesome, but it just made Daryl like so invincible. Like, that, I think that's when people started to say like, oh, Daryl is like, like a god or something, like in the Walking Dead world. Like, he's unstoppable. I mean, he just blew it up like crazy. Eastside Badger says that was an old Vietnam era tank though. The Atlanta tank was a modern M1. Yeah, that's true. By the way, I heard that a modern M1 tanks don't have hatches on the bottom, but Rick somehow still there was still a hatch. I think I remember like someone saying like tanks are not supposed to have hatches on the bottom like that. But yeah, Epic says even Tyrese got bit by Ninja Zombie Noah's brother. Yeah, Epic. Good point. I mean, they were trying to say like, oh, I think Scott Gimple said that the characters were so like so hungry and thirst, deprived that even Tyrese did not notice a ninja zombie attack him. But that's so dumb because like a season later, the Alexandrians, you know, they don't get thirsty or hungry, and they still get bit by ninja zombies. You know what I mean? So I just don't understand how the ninja zombies work. Like, do you have to be tired or not focused for them to sneak up on you? Like, I just don't get how it works. Um, and that was a bad way for Tyrese to go. Like, that was so pathetic. Like, he got taken out by a like 9-year-old zombie kid. Like, I'm sorry, that was just Tyrese's death in the comic was just so much better. It was noble. You know, it just made sense. It didn't feel careless. Like, I mean, it's just I don't know. Like he just lost track. Was looking at pictures. Like what were they doing there? Dan says, "I hate ninja zombies. It's so unrealistic." Yeah, I agree, Dan. Plus, like they're in the they're in the forest and like there's leaves and trees and branches everywhere. Like how do they not make noise? Like that's also fake. Like Ronnie Hayes mentioned that too, and I agree with him 100%. Like we ourselves cannot move in a forest without making some noise. So how can zombies, who just like shuffle? I mean, that's just so bad. Like I don't know. Like I feel like they should have. We didn't need ninja zombies. We just needed them to make them better. It could have. I don't know. They could have had some wolves attack them instead of ninja zombies. Epic says like it's dumb in season 6 because they're in the forest, so walkers noisy. Exactly, Epic. Thank you. Dan says zombies should make a bunch of noise. If this was real, so many people would still be alive. Agree, Dan. I mean, I get it. It's The Walking Dead. You want to, make it more dire, but it should not be this bad. Like, by the way, like, what always bugged me in previous seasons, actually, like season 6, let's say season 6, I couldn't stand it when a character, actually season 5 and 6, I couldn't stand it when a character was being eaten and the characters have a gun or a bullet and they don't use the chance to put them out of their misery. Like I'm sorry, like if a person in my group is being eaten, I'm gonna put them out of their misery. And in season 5 and 6, there are characters who get eaten, and the characters just stand there, or they don't try to end that person before it's too late. Like that bugged me so much. Like I don't remember if I mentioned this, but did that bug you guys too? Like I couldn't stand it. Like I mean, it happened to a couple of characters. So it happened to Aiden, back in season 5, and like okay, kind of Noah, but Glenn didn't. I don't think Glenn could have done anything to stop that or make it, end Noah's misery. But like season 6, we get a bunch of Alexandrians that get eaten, and the characters just don't do anything either. There was there's a couple of characters. There's Annie. There's David too. That Epic mentioned. Like I just like the characters were just standing around or just didn't not like they had a chance, and just did not stop that person from suffering. Like I mean, I get it. You're in a dire situation, but still, it's like, are you really just gonna leave them there? Like, what I mean? That I don't know. That just bugged me so much. I don't know. It just felt weird. Let me know if you guys thought that was weird too. Because like, I don't know. Like, I feel like it doesn't happen enough in The Walking Dead. If a character's being eaten, some character, at least one person from that group, would try to stop that. Oh, let's see. Dan says Rick even said to Morgan and Michonne in 601, "I'll get that zombie," and they saw him coming from so far away, but somehow Carter didn't hear anything till it was too late. Yeah, I agree, Dan. And Epic says Carter, his death was dumb also. And Dan says, "Stupid ninja zombies, but I hate him anyways." LOL. Yeah, I mean, I didn't like him either, Dan, and I hated it when they just brought Carter all of a sudden, and I think he was like, "So we're all supposed to just listen to you?" And it's like, "Yeah, Carter, Rick was here before you actually." Like, sure, in the wiki says that Carter lived in Alexandria before Rick, but like he was nowhere in season 5. You know what I mean? Like Rick was there in Alexandria before him. Like, let's be honest. Like Rick and the group were at Alexandria before Denise, before Heath. Like other characters, and the wiki might say differently, but it's the truth. And when Carter, like, he doesn't know what he was doing, and I mean, would I have liked to see Carter survive longer? Maybe. Did I think his death was dumb? Absolutely. His death was totally made no sense. I mean, he had a shotgun and he just went to a tree, and all of a sudden a walker just came, and he didn't even try to push it away. Like, he just got bit, and that was, I'm sorry, that was just so pathetic. Like, he didn't even kill one zombie before he died. Like, come on. Even that beer guy from Fear, Jimmy, even he killed one zombie before he died. Like, I'm sorry, that's just so pathetic. How can characters who've never killed a zombie still be alive? Let's see. Like, how could they have survived this long without killing one? Is what I'm trying to say. Epic says, like him getting bit on the face, Rick puts him down. Then Morgan looks at Rick like he shouldn't have done that. Yeah, Epic, because Morgan was a pacifist. I think Michonne was giving that look too, but Morgan was a pacifist, and even though Carter was in pain and was screaming, like, Rick needed to keep him quiet, and Rick did kill him, and Morgan was, I guess, a little upset by that. I don't know. Every time Morgan shows up, Rick is killing someone. So I don't know. But as far as that, like, it made no sense. And I think some people still. I think some people say that Rick shouldn't have done that, but you couldn't really have done much. But it's a good thing the people of Alexandria didn't really find out, because like, Carter was the second Alexandrian that Rick killed. Like, that's just crazy. Because in the comic, Rick never killed another Alexandrian after Pete, but in the show he did. Dan says, like, where was Carter? Denise as well. Yeah, I agree, Dan. I just, like, when the show, like, I laugh when the show says, oh, this character has been here this whole time, and you just never saw them. And it's like, don't give me that excuse. Like, the show was just too lazy to bring them into the previous season. Like, it's not even that hard. Dan says, "Oh, and Holly, LOL." Yeah, Dan, I can't believe what they did to Holly in JSS. They were hyping up Holly in season 5, having characters like Tara and Noah mention her, but they immediately brought Holly in season 6, and then she just dies, like, with no lines. Like, that is just so bad. Like, I don't understand what they were thinking. Eastside Badger says, Denise took one for the team. Here's looking at you, Denise. Is that a pun, Eastside Badger? Like, I'm trying to see what you're doing there. But she took one for the team. I mean, I'm not sure. Maybe. Dan says, I hated Dwight for that at the time, at least. Yeah, I mean, I didn't like him, but I don't know. Like, it still bugs me. I don't know if Dwight killed Denise on purpose or it was an accident, because he said that he was aiming for Daryl, but like Dwight was good at the crossbow, around that time. So it doesn't really make sense that he missed. You know what I mean? Like, Dwight had like months to practice on the crossbow, so I don't really know if he could have missed like that. Let's see. Epic says also that scene in season 6 where Rick says, "You have any idea who you're talking to?" Well, in the comics, he says that to Nicholas. Yeah, I know, Epic. I know that. I mean, even okay. So I did like both versions, but I didn't get what the point of it was. Like, at least in the comic book, after Rick says that to Nicholas, Nicholas learns to trust Rick and become a soldier for Alexandria, and protect his family and stuff. But in the show, Carter just he just dies. I don't know what the point of that was. And Dan says, where was Gamma in season 9? But then season 6, 10, this whole time she was one of the one girl's sisters that left her baby this whole time. Yeah, I agree, Dan. But at least it's not as bad as season 6, or like, you know what I mean? Like, Gamma coming out of nowhere in season 10, that's still better than like Denise or Carter, because like, for Gamma, like, the Whispers are constantly wearing masks, so we can't tell which one's which. But like, it makes sense in like the Whispers case, because like, there's more than like Rick's, like, Alexandria was not a big community. Like, there were not that many people, but the Whispers, I think they said there was hundreds, so it kind of makes more sense. I mean, it's not as bad as like Denise showing up and saying, I've been here this whole time, or Carter saying that, but it is still pretty bad. Yeah, they should have got Gamma back in season 9 or something. Let's see. Eastside Badger says, "Yep, it's a pun. Better Denise than Daryl or Sweet Rosita." Yeah, I agree, Eastside Badger. I mean, it's just that it makes sense. Like, although I feel like I don't know, maybe it should have been Tara or someone else. Like, giving that depth to such a minor character was just so weird. Let's see. Eastside Badger says to Dan, Gamma is sort of cute in that weird whisper mask kind of way. Let's see. Epic says, I love The Walking Dead, but I will say that it's not a perfect show. Yeah, Epic, I agree. I mean, there's a serious budget issue, obviously, and there's a lot of problems with consistency. When you have characters who come out in a community and say, I've been here this whole time, like when they introduce new characters, it sometimes doesn't work. Like in the comic, it's done so much better because in the comic, you literally see these characters like in the background a little bit or get a few lines, and then they make those characters more prominent. But in the show, they only introduce the characters that are prominent, and then they like bring in more characters and say they've been here this whole time. Epic says Denise wasn't that good in the show. She's way better in the comics. Absolutely, Epic. I mean, I agree 100% with that. Denise in the show was just so weird. I didn't really get the whole her and Tara relationship. It felt forced, and I don't know. It was just so weird. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, in the comics she was like noble and she was smart, but in the show she was actually telling Daryl and Rosita how to survive when they've done it way longer than her. So it was just weird. Dan says, I agree, Eastside. I actually like her no mask or mask, lol. Yeah. Let's see. There was something I wanted to ask. I think it was around season 6. Um Yeah, hold on, I'm trying to think of it. Let's see. Eastside Badge says, in a perfect Walking Dead world, we would have had way more Negan Lucille moments. I miss Lucille. Yeah, I agree, Eastside Badger. I don't understand what happened to Lucille. I think she's plant food, honestly. At least in the comic, they had like Dwight pick up Lucille, and he uses that to take over the sanctuary or be the leader. But in the show, like they just left her on the grass, where Rick and Negan played tag. So I don't know what happened. Like I'm surprised Maggie did not go back and just burn it. Like seriously. Epic says, also, what's with the show and doctors? Why keep killing doctors? They're very useful. Yeah, Epic, that's one problem I have with the show. They gotta stop killing off the doctors. Like, it is so ridiculous. Like it was not a big deal back in like season 4, but then in season 5 they killed Pete, and then season 6 they killed Denise, and I was like, okay, you guys are kind of killing doctors too fast. And then they killed off Dr. Carson, like the older brother, in season 7, and I was like, okay, why are they doing this? And then season 8 they killed off the other Dr. Carson, and I'm like, okay, they need to stop this. Like, and then they kill off Enid, and then they kill off Dante. Like, it's just so crazy. Like every season, a doctor is dying, or a kid that Carol is watching out for. Like I don't know what it is. Like sometimes it works, but sometimes it really does not work. And like they really are killing off the doctors too fast. I don't think the communities even have a doctor anymore. Like all of them, they don't have a doctor anymore. So if someone gets pregnant and needs to deliver a baby, I don't think they're going to be able to deliver it. Like I think all the communities are out of a doctor now. In a way, it kind of serves them right. I mean, they have been doing a horrible job protecting their doctors. I mean, seriously, that's crazy. Dan says she is awesome. I'm guessing you're talking about Gamma, Mary. Yeah, I'm guessing you're talking about that. Or no, you're talking about well, maybe you're talking about Comic Denise. I'm not sure who you're talking about, Dan. Dan says, if you're a doctor, you're going to die. Yeah, I agree, Dan. I don't know what happened. Like, it started with season 5, and they just kept killing a doctor character every season. At least a doctor character won't die in season 10, but, is there a doctor character in season 11 they're going to kill off? I mean, who knows? Epic says, like, doctors are useful. Like, what if someone gets sick? If somebody gets sick? Yeah, I don't know, Epic. It's hard to say. I mean, yeah, I mean, who knows, honestly. I don't know. If someone gets sick, it really depends. I mean, how bad is it? Like, forget sick. What if someone gets injured, What if someone gets, cut again, like, or cut badly? What if someone gets beaten bad? What are they going to do? It's just crazy. Eastside Badger says, "Don't be a doctor or a moral authority." And Dale Herschel. Well, you forgot Glenn, but yeah, that too. I mean, but the Doctor one definitely seems to be, doing it more lately. The Doctor one is definitely seems more lethal. Eastside Badger says Dan was talking about Lucille, the dirty girl. Oh, okay, yeah. I don't know where. I think Lucille is plant food, honestly. Uh, I mean, I don't know. It's just I can't believe Maggie never picked up Lucille and burned her. Like, I can't believe she didn't even do that. Like, honestly, I love Maggie, but my goodness, she has been making bad decisions too. I mean, how she wants revenge and then leaving the group for 7 years. I mean, I don't know, man. I don't know what they're doing with Maggie. Epic says Sadiq was a doctor. He died in season 10. Yeah, I know, Epic. I think that obviously they're not going to kill one in the second half, but sometime in season 11, if they have a doctor. Oh, right. And they killed off Dante too, technically. So technically that was two doctors in season 10, if you think about it. Dan says doctors are not even in the battlefield and they still die. Like, what? How? Yeah, Dan. I mean, honestly, they just get murdered. Like, someone sneaks in and just kills them. I mean, look what happened with Sadiq or Enid. Alpha snuck in, captured her, killed her. Sadiq, Dante came in, killed him, and then Father Gabriel, came and killed Dante in the cell. Like, the doctors just get murdered. Like, not even in the battlefield, they just get straight up murdered. Eastside Badger says Maggie isn't woman enough to burn Lucy. You mean Lucille, but yeah, I don't know, Eastside Badger. I don't understand why she didn't do that. I mean, Maggie's supposed to be one of the most strong, independent women in the show, but she really did not try to get her revenge. At least not, entirely. If she couldn't have gotten on Negan, she at least could have gotten on Lucille. I don't know. Um, Dan says definitely she needs to leave her alone. I'm sorry, Dan. I'm not sure if Lucille, can be left alone. Honestly, like, I don't know. Michonne does not have Lucille, but we know that there's a shot of Michonne holding Lucille, that we still haven't seen. So I think that's still a fake scene that was just used to hype the trailer. But I don't know. It's just we gotta see Lucille or find out what happened to her. We need confirmation because we've been waiting for a long time now. It's just crazy. Um, let's see. What did I? There was something about season 6 that I wanted to ask you guys, but I forgot what it was. And that stinks because I think it was maybe not. It wasn't important, but it was interesting. And now I'm just trying to think what it was. Eastside Badge says, mind blowing that Maggie has been gone 7 years. Well, I mean, I just said that, Eastside Badger. I don't know 100%. They might say, like, Maggie's only been gone for a year and a half, but, like, Rick has disappeared for 7 years, and I kind of get the feeling Maggie left not long after that, too. And I get the feeling, like, I don't know, it might have been 7 years. Maybe Maggie stops by here and there at the hilltop and then leaves again. But I definitely think like Maggie has not been around the other characters for 7 years, pretty much. That's just crazy. I mean, what could she be doing, honestly? And I can't wait to see Herschel. But if Lauren Cohan leaves the show again, just kill her off. Like, I don't want to lose Maggie, but I will not deal with another Maggie needs to leave the story situation. Epic says, also it was dumb. Why bring Dante into Alexandria? If I was them, I would have been suspicious. Yeah, Epic, I would have been suspicious too. I mean, like, at least I would have had someone watch him and never let him go by himself or something. Because there was, like, we saw that he was left by himself in the woods sometimes, and he planted, letters to Alpha in the trees. Like, how was no one watching? That was just poor on their part. But as far as like thinking Dante could have been a spy, they should have at least thought he could have been a spy from Alpha. But like, I still think like in a way they had no way of knowing, but they should have at least had someone, like, every time Dante goes out, like, of Alexandria, like in the woods, they should definitely have someone watching him constantly, you know, like never leaving him out of their sight. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like, Lydia couldn't have recognized Dante because Alpha said that he's new, but still, I definitely would have been suspicious too. Dan says that trailer scene just with Lucille
just confuses me. I really don't know at this point what the scene is, so I'm also saying it's fake. Yeah, Dan, I mean, I think that makes the most sense. There's just so many problems with it. Like, like Lucille looks so crisp and like clean, and that wouldn't make sense. Lucille should be plant food by now, and also we can clearly see that Michonne, when she leaves Judith, she doesn't have Lucille with her or anything that could be Lucille. And yeah, also like in the promo, we see Michonne with the chain walkers, and she's holding them with chains on one hand, and then on her other hand she has to have her katana, I think. So I don't think she can hold Lucille too. So I definitely think like there's no way she could have Lucille. Yeah, but thanks for the comment, and yeah, I'm thinking, unfortunately, I think we're never gonna see Lucille again. Like in the season 8 finale, they really should have had Dwight or someone pick up Lucille. Like, who knows? Like they could have had Lucille on Fear or something. Actually, that would have been interesting. Imagine Negan asking Michonne when he was still in the cell, like, "Where's Lucille?" And Michonne is like, "I don't know." And we're watching Fear the Walking Dead season 5, and Dwight has Lucille. Like, how crazy would that be? Epic says like he just ran up to the gates and they let him in. Well, he got the attention of some walkers, and obviously the people, they killed the walkers, and yeah, that kind of thing. But I don't know, like it's so weird. Like Michonne, did she not interview Dante like she interviewed Magna on them? Because I'm surprised Michonne did not catch up on anything. Dan says, I know, but then Magnus Group, they're all just meeting tomorrow till then put them in holding. Like, that makes no sense. Wait, hold on, let me reread that again. I know, but then Magnus Group, they're all just like meeting tomorrow till then put them in holding. Like, that makes, I think you're saying no sense. Yeah, Dan, and I don't know, they definitely should have a system for catching spies or possible spies. Epic says, like, that katana is a huge icon in the show. Yeah, it is. Let's see. Eastside Badger says, great stream. That's all for me tonight, guys. Good night. Good night, Eastside Badger. Thank you so much for coming. I really appreciate it. Yeah, man. Thanks for all the awesome replies and questions and, things that you've said. And I really appreciate it, man. Thank you so much. Dan says, I want one. It's so cool. Katana. Yeah, having a katana would be pretty cool. As far as weapons in Zombie Apocalypse, it's probably one of the better weapons, I would say. And we've been going on this for about an hour and 32 minutes, so I might I might end the stream around the 2 hour mark, just to let you guys know. Let's see. Dan says Night Badger. Yeah. Let's see. Eastside Badger says good night. Dan, Epic, and Brian. Good night, Eastside Badger. Thank you so much for coming. I'm not sure when my next live stream is going to be, but I'll let you guys know that most likely the day it comes. Like in my channel, it'll say like live at like 9 p.m. or something on a certain day. So I'm not really sure, but hopefully sometime this week, maybe like Friday or something. Yeah, like I'll just say Friday. But yeah, thanks for coming, man. I appreciate it. Yeah, have a good night. All right, so let's see. I'm still trying to think. While I wait for some more replies, I'm gonna take another. Oh wait, Epic says Michonne Katana is very, very iconic. It's a part of her character. Yeah, I agree, Epic. I'm not saying Michonne's gonna lose her katana. I'm just saying that in the promo we see Michonne with chained walkers, and then we see her with her katana. And I'm thinking there's no way she's holding Lucille too. She can't have the chained walkers and a katana and Lucille. It's too much to carry. And I think like a katana's way better. I mean, I know it's part of her character. Honestly, I mean, sure, the Colt Python is Rick's weapon, but let's be honest. I like the katana is better than Rick's Colt Python. It's more useful and stuff. Dan says it's fine. I got school tomorrow anyways, so another 30 minutes is good. Oh yeah. Yeah. Good luck. On your day back to school, Dan. Yeah, another 30 minutes, and yeah, that should be good. And I don't want to do live streams like, what I mean. Like I don't want to do them like close to 12 because I know school's starting back for some people, and yeah, I might stick to 8:30 to like 10:30 ish. But yeah. don't worry, I'm gonna end it in around like 30 minutes. So yeah, let's see. Um, yeah, I remember. I don't know. Like, I'm still trying to think of what I was gonna say about season 6, but one of the things so in The Walking Dead, I can't stand it when, like I said, when they introduce a new character and say I've been there this whole time and you just didn't see me. I can't stand that. But I also, let's see, what else is there? There was something else. Like, let me think. Well, you guys can write the replies in, but like I love season 6. It was an amazing season, but oh wait, Epic says, but yeah, like when I first saw Carl Bin, I thought it was realistic. Rick found his family. He lost them eventually, but then realized how bad it would have been for the future. Um, hold on, hold on. Let me reread that. But yeah, when I first saw Carl Bin, I thought it was realistic. Rick found his family. He lost them eventually, but then I realized how bad it would have been for the future. Um, hold on. Let's see. I'm not sure what you mean, Epic. As far as like Rick losing his family, losing Lori was realistic, but losing Carl was not realistic. You know, Carl was a very skilled survivor, and he should not have been out on his own. Like, I'm sorry, like it just bugs me that the characters can just leave Alexandria, like, and not get any help. You know what I mean? Like, did Carl leave by the front gates? You know what I mean? I don't know. That was just so weird. Like characters just leaving, and like if I was an adult in Alexandria, I would not let Carl leave because there's a war going on. You know what I mean? I don't know. That's just I don't know. It's so weird. It makes no sense at all. And yeah. Let's see. Oh, one thing I definitely hated. I Now this isn't it, but one thing I hated in later seasons, like in season 6, 7, and 8, I hated it when they introduced new Alexandrians in the background. So, do you guys remember when they attacked the Savior Outpost and we saw like a bunch of new faces we'd never seen before, and like they attacked the outpost, and according to the wiki, those are Alexandrians, but they they were never in seasons 5, 6, 7. I don't know. It's just I just can't stand it when the show does that. Um, like, oh, by the way, like when you guys saw the hilltop, the first time we saw the hilltop, were you guys? I remember the first time I saw the hilltop. I was with my oldest brother, and we were watching the hilltop episode. And when the gates opened and we saw the hilltop for the first time, I was so disappointed. I'm like it's so small. When we first saw the hilltop, I'm like, where's everyone? Where's all the people? It's a ghost town. I couldn't stand that. Like, that was one thing about season 6 that just bugged me. Like, they said the hilltop was this amazing community, but there were so few people. I could not stand that. I was so disappointed with the hilltop. Like, Alexandria looked great in the show. Hilltop looks so disappointing. Let's see. Epic says that's one thing I don't get is Rick and Morgan are not equal. They both lost their wife and son. The only thing I don't get is Morgan went insane where Rick didn't. Well, Epic, Rick did go insane a couple times. Rick went insane when Lori died. Rick went kind of insane, and then he eventually came back. And then after he thought Judith died, and then like at the end of season 4, Rick kind of went crazy again, and then we got the Rick Tater shit back, like in season 5. Him killing the cannibals, him killing those cops, and not trusting Aaron. Like that was already Rick insane, kind of. Rick. I mean, like, remember Rick was hallucinating Lori back in season 3? Like, Rick has been insane before. So yeah, I kind of disagree with you there, but um, I mean, I get what you're trying to say, but I disagree. I just talked about how, you know, basically that Rick has gone insane a couple of times. Dan says, am I the only one who actually really enjoyed Dante as a villain? I didn't like him at first, but man, he was a great villain. Yeah, Dan, I mean, let's just say, okay, he was definitely better than Martha and Logan. As far as Jenny, I'm not sure yet. We still have season 6. Season 6, hopefully, they'll make Jenny more of a villain. But if they don't, then yeah, he's even better than Jenny. I mean, or Virginia, whatever. But Dante as a villain, like that was, that was pretty great actually. Like he's, like he did a lot of damage to our survivors. Like, and he might still do some damage because some people say that, maybe Dante, you know, planned the attack on Alexandria that we're going to see in the second half. You know what I mean? Like before Dante died, he set up an escape or like a way for Beta to get in. I mean, who knows? But I would say like yeah, Dante was a pretty good villain, but it was short lived. Dan says Hilltop looks better now, but in season 6 it was terrible. Yeah, I agree, Dan. I don't know why Hilltop looked terrible in season 6. I mean, in the comic, the Hilltop had animals, like it had horses, it had like dozens of trailers, barns, the water tower, but in season 6 it had like none of that. You know what I mean? It was just so disappointing. There were like one, two people walking around. Like it was supposed to be a community, a community with kids, people, families, but we never got to see that. It did not feel real. Seeing the hilltop for the first time, that took me out of the experience in the story because it's supposed to be this community, but it was just so dead, you know. So yeah, I mean, it was terrible. Like, I'm sorry, I don't care what reason. Like, that was inexcusable how the hilltop looked. Like, Alexandria looked great, Kingdom looked great, but Hilltop looked terrible the first time. Epic says, "No, I meant he should have went insane after Carl dying." Yeah, yeah, I agree, Epic. Rick kind of like put it inside him. Like he kind of like he cried when Carl died, but he didn't really go insane. He just decided to focus on the war, get Jadis, and then after that, when he was fighting the Saviors, he kind of went insane with Morgan, to kill the Saviors. Well, a little bit insane, actually very insane. And then he just decided to keep Negan alive. So yeah, I kind of see what you're saying. Like Rick went more insane for Lori than Carl. Actually, that's why killing off Carl in season 8 just did not work too. When Lori died, Rick went crazy. He attacked Glenn. Like he went ballistic. He killed 100 walkers by himself in the dark. Like he was that crazy. He saw Lori as a ghost. But when Carl died, all he did was just get angry and decide to kill a bunch of saviors, and then he ends up, I guess, regretting that. That's pretty much it. Like there were no hallucinations. There was no moments where he passed out or freaked out really, except the moment I described. That was just so weird. Epic says, yeah, also in the first half of season 10, when walkers attacked the hilltop, where were the uh, hill fighters? It was just Magna and her people. Yeah, Epic. I remember mentioning that to Dan, and that was bad. Like, where was Cal? Where was Eduardo? Where was I think Birdie? Like other people from the hilltop that we know, at least from season 6. Like we didn't get to see them. That's one problem I never understood with the hilltop. And some people might disagree, but the hilltop's supposed to have like 200 people, or at least it's supposed to have over 100 people. But in the show, it's clear that it doesn't have that many because they never show that. Not only do they not show that, like when the hilltop gets attacked, it's just Magna and her group defending. Like there should be dozens of other people, but I don't know, maybe the budget or something. But that's no excuse. Dan says, yeah, it was literally just Magnus Group fighting, but everyone else, it almost seems like they didn't care. They were out there on their own. Yeah, I agree, Dan, and that's one of the reasons why the second half just didn't work for me. And I get it. Magnus Group is they got to be in the forefront. Like I support the writers showing us that they're earning their keep, they're defending their new home. But I completely disagree with it being them. Like they have lived in the hilltop for like maybe 8 months, but people have lived there for 10 years. Why aren't those people defending? I'm sorry, but I would kick out some of those people. I would be like, what were you doing when it was being attacked? Like, unless you're a kid or an elderly person or pregnant, you have no excuse for not being out there and fighting. I'm sorry, it's the truth. I mean, I don't know, just it's so weird. The hilltop, it feels just so dead. Like it's supposed to have. That's one of the problems with the show. They don't really do a good job with the extras. It doesn't feel real. At least in the second half, we see that when Aaron and them are defending the hilltop, that like there's a bunch of people, like background people, and I'll give the show that. I'll give the second half that. At least they're bringing back those extras, to defend the place. So I'm glad that's happening. Epic says, like Ezekiel and his people were at the hilltop. Where were they? Yeah, I don't know, Epic. I mean, like I don't like. Besides the premiere of season 10, we haven't seen Jerry's kids up to. But instead of just bringing a new actor or actress and saying, "Oh, they've been here this whole time, you just haven't seen them," I think what they should do is just get an extra and just give them some lines and some story. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like Denise, like instead of bringing in a new actor or actress, just get one from the previous season and give them more of a role. Or you should have casted them early. You know what I mean? You know what they say: the early bird gets the worm. They should have done that. Dan says, "Well, pretty soon Hilltop will be fully dead soon. If you know what I'm talking about." Yeah, I know what you're talking about, Dan. Honestly, I don't remember if it's Eastside Badger, but someone asked me if I think all the communities will be wiped out, like Oceanside, the Kingdom, not the Kingdom, Alexandria, the Hilltop, and Oceanside. And if those three communities are wiped out, then the group will have nowhere else to live, and they'll have to go to the Commonwealth. And I said that it's a pretty good theory, but the only problem with it is there are hundreds of people in the communities, maybe like 300 in all the communities, and it just would not make any sense. Like if they had to travel, because like you know what I mean? Like they have kids, they have elderly. Like how are they going to travel with hundreds of people from Virginia to Ohio? You know what I mean? So I don't see how they're going to do that. But who knows? They might pull it off. Epic says it's weird. Alexandria in season 5 felt real. It was filled with people, whereas Hilltop in season 6 was a ghost town. Yeah, I agree. Epic, so true. I don't understand what was going on with the casting department. Like I don't know what was happening, because Alexandria, it did feel really real. It felt like a community in season 5. You know what I mean? But in season 6, anytime something big happened, there was pretty much no one around. Like yeah, like when Rick and Pete got into that fight, we saw people around them. But when Rick killed Ethan, like when the people came back, they stabbed Gregory, and Rick was fighting one of them. There was like hardly anyone around them, and that was just so bad. That was terrible. You know what I mean? Like where were the other people? There's supposed to be 200 people at the hilltop. Yeah, the hilltop. Like that's like 5 times more than Alexandria, and they just did it so poorly. Like I don't mean to sound prideful, but I mean honestly, like I could have done better. I'm sure you guys would have too. They should have done a better job with the casting and just making it feel more real. Like who saw that episode and thought it was, it felt real? It just didn't. Dan says, "I hope they at least keep Alexandria, but I feel like they're still going to keep Oceanside too and take out Hilltop this season." Yeah, Dan, I definitely think the Hilltop will take a heavy blow, but as far as Oceanside, like I don't understand it. Why is Oceanside like it is the one community full of women, and it is still like not being attacked. It has not been attacked by pretty much anyone. It hasn't been attacked by the Saviors or the Whisperers. Like I just don't understand it. What is it about Oceanside that makes it so much safer and so much better than the other communities? Is it just because it's all women? I mean, I don't know. It's so weird. I'm hoping they keep Alexandria too, because there's that nostalgia. There's that nostalgic feeling, because if The Walking Dead goes on for 12 seasons, like or further, like they need to keep Alexandria, because Alexandria is just that connection to the past. You know what I mean? And I feel like we need that. The Hilltop, I don't think we really need that. Oceanside, definitely not. But Alexandria, there's something about it. Like I just can't let it go. It's back from season 5, and I just miss it. I miss those characters like Glenn, Abraham, and they have connections, to Alexandria. I mean, sure they're buried in Hilltop, but it still feels like a part of them is in Alexandria. Like those memories are there. You know what I mean? But yeah, let's see. We've been going on this for an hour and 49 minutes now, so we're gonna have to wrap it up in 10 minutes. But yeah, thank you, Epic and Dan, for sticking this long. I really appreciate it. I was hoping more people would show up, but yeah, thank you guys for sticking around. Let's see. Epic says, That's what I hated about season 7. It had too many communities. It was too overwhelming. Yeah, I agree, Epic. And one thing I don't understand is the garbage people, like the junkyard. There were like dozens or like hundreds of them, and like they could have used those people at the hilltop. You know what I mean? The garbage people did not need to be a big group. Like it didn't need that. We needed the hilltop was the one that needed numbers. I don't understand why they gave it to the junkyard people instead. Like having a group of people at a junkyard, because like I look in the wiki and apparently the junkyard had like over 100 survivors, and I'm just like, what? How? How did they all live there? How did they eat? In a junkyard, that many people. Like it's just I don't know. It's just so bad. It was overwhelming. I mean, we needed Alexandria, the Hilltop, Kingdom, and Sanctuary, but we did not need Oceanside, and we did not need the junkyard. Yeah. By the way, do you guys think Maggie is at the Commonwealth? Because Ronnie Hayes, I talked with him the live stream yesterday, and actually no, it was a different video I think, but he said that Maggie probably is not at the Commonwealth. It wouldn't make sense. And I don't know, do you guys agree or disagree? Because I feel like Maggie has to be at the Commonwealth. Dan says Alexandria is my favorite place. If it gets destroyed, I'll definitely be super upset. Yeah, me too, Dan. There's just something about Alexandria that the other communities don't have. It's just that nostalgic feel. You know what I mean? Like that first time we got to Alexandria, I was so excited, but like when we got to Hilltop, I was disappointed. The Kingdom, we barely got anything from the Kingdom. Sanctuary, I don't care about that community. Oceanside, I hated it, and the Junkyard group, I was glad to see them wiped out. And that's just crazy. Like, you know what I mean? Like when Simon wipes out the Junkyard people, like some people like that scene's supposed to be like heart wrenching, but it's not. Like I'm not saying like I'm laughing, but I was definitely like clapping or something. I was like, good job, Simon. Like, thank you. You know, Let me know if you guys were like that too, please. Let's see. Epic says, yeah, Oceanside sucks. I hate that community. It's just a waste and has no purpose. Yeah, and I don't get why they couldn't like those characters or those extras. They should have taken them and put them in the hilltop. Like, you know what I mean? Like, uh, Hilltop is when season 6 and 7 were airing. Like the Hilltop was the most developed community or like underpopulated community with extras, and they needed the most people at the Hilltop because it's the biggest community. I don't get how they can do so bad on that. That's just I don't understand how they could do that. Like Oceanside does not need to be a big community. I mean, I looked on the wiki and there's like what 80 women people there, and I don't understand why it's so big. Like, you know what I mean? Like the Hilltop needs to be a big community, not Oceanside. They really did not do it right. How many people should be in each community. If I was in charge of it, Hilltop would have been the biggest community population wise, and in places like the Junkyard and Oceanside, even if I'd done them, they would have had like 10 people each. It was just a mistake. Let's see. Epic says Alexandria is an iconic community that it's been around since season 5, so it's an icon. Absolutely, Epic. I 100% agree with you. We cannot lose Alexandria. It is that hope. It is that nostalgic feel, and we cannot lose it. There's so many memories there, and I don't want to lose it. Dan says, like, why did they use Oceanside for literally the premiere of season 10 and the mid-season finale of season 10? I much rather no Oceanside at all. However, the training scene was cool. I'll then that. Yeah, I'll admit the training scene was cool, but like, yeah, I'll admit like we see Oceanside like maybe 2-3 times a season, which is more than we've been getting lately. But well, no, it's like 2-3 times a season pretty much, and I don't know. Oceanside doesn't get attacked there. Nothing really big or important happens at Oceanside. No big deaths, no life-changing events. It's just it feels like a filler location. It really does. Epic says also the whole we shoot strangers on sight because you know too much about them, just dumb. Yeah, I don't understand that either. That was pretty dumb. Like also like no wonder like it was a community of just women. You know what I mean? Like I'm sorry, but like if a community just has a certain gender, like what I mean, don't shoot like other survivors. Just because it's just like they could have used some men. I'm just saying like shoot on sight. I mean, like if it was the saviors and they shot a savior, like more would come. You know what I mean? So I don't know. Also, they were horrible shots. I remember seeing in the Swear Tara when she was running from the Oceanside people. They constantly shot at her and they missed every shot. And I get it. She had plot armor, but still, they were horrible shots. You know what I mean? And but Sydney, she was an amazing shot when she was killing those walkers, and that's why they shouldn't have done the whole we shoot like on site or whatever, or they shouldn't have given Oceanside such a big population because like there were like what 3 to 8 people shooting at Terra and they missed. If it was just one person, that would be understandable. But I don't know. Epic says also they're terrible at shooting. Yeah, exactly, Epic. I just said that. Dan says I want Oceanside to fall so bad. I mean, literally one of the worst episodes of The Walking Dead is the intro to Oceanside that says something. Um, wait. Literally one of the worst episodes of The Walking Dead is the intro to Oceanside that says, "Oh yeah, yeah, exactly." I mean, there was just so many reasons why Ocean's Swear was a terrible episode. And yes, pun intended. I mean, it was a terrible episode. Tara was not interesting in season 7. You know, she was not written well as well, and she was not a big enough character to have a whole episode with, and a whole community of just women. Like, I still don't get it. Like, why? It feels very forced and unrealistic in the world they're in. If Oceanside was a community of like if it was a small community of just women, that would be understandable. But there's like 80. There was like 80 people there. You know, I don't know. It just felt so forced. You know what I mean? Like I still don't get why the Saviors or Simon killed all their men. Like, cause I don't get it. What was he trying to do? You know what I mean? Like, was he trying to kidnap them? Like, I don't get why Simon had all the men killed. Simon is he sexist? I don't get why he did that. Cause like in season 6, 7, and 8, Simon it doesn't try to do anything with that. Like with Rick's group, you know, he doesn't try to kill all the men in Rick's group, or even mention he might do that. I don't know. It's just weird. But Simon was a good villain. I'll admit that. When he said like we're looking for Daryl, we want you to see him die. I was like, wow. Like I think he means it. Like he does. Like I like Simon as a villain at least more than Negan. Let's see. Dan says I. Oh wait, I already said that. Epic says yeah, I get why season 7, episode 6 swear is a hated episode. It's my most hated episode. Absolutely. Dan says it's one of my least favorites, as Brian knows by my worst episodes list. But yeah, it's just oh wait, it's just the it was just the worst episode. It was really bad, Dan. I mean, you know, bad writing, boring character, boring group. It was too long too, as well, and just it made no sense. Plus, it was filler when you look back on it. It didn't matter at all. Oceanside literally does not matter to the story. It did nothing for the story or the characters. Let's see. Epic says like literally in the comics we just had Hilltop, Kingdom, and Alexandria. Why couldn't the show do the same? Yeah, I have no idea. Epic. I mean, I guess because they knew that they had or they wanted to do a season 7 and season 8. But even in the comic, like I was being overwhelmed by that many communities, and like I don't get what they were thinking because we got Alexandria and we were still getting used to it, and then they did the Hilltop and the Kingdom, Sanctuary, Junkyard, Oceanside. Like, well, I don't know what they were thinking. As far as like why couldn't they do that? They could have done it. Absolutely, Epic. They could have done it, but they chose to make season 7 and 8, 16 episodes each. Like, what I mean, like the Savior arc. They decided to make it like 2.5 seasons, which was such a big mistake. Like, yeah, I mean, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. They could have done it. I would have done it. Like, just those 4 communities, no Oceanside or Junkyard. But unfortunately, they didn't do that. Let's see. We've been going on for an hour and 59 minutes. Let's see. Dan says, yeah, I know it's just fine, but no. We need 2 stupid locations like why Gimple. Yeah, I don't know, Dan. I mean, I guess Gimple wanted to add more filler to, the Savior arc, but it was bad because like the Junkyard people were filler, like their story didn't matter. Sure, it set up the Rick helicopter Easter egg, but I don't think that was the best way to do it. And as far as the Ocean side, it didn't matter at all. Like Rick's group took those guns, and then those guns got taken by the junkyard people, and then Simon took those guns, and then he lost them. So it was completely pointless. You know what I mean? Like it was complete filler. Like I don't even think Rick gave those guns back. Like it didn't do anything. Epic says, I feel if the seasons were only 10 episodes, maybe the war wouldn't have been so dragged out. Yeah, I kind of understand that, Epic. I think, like I said, what they should have done is they should have had season 7 be the entire Savior arc, where the premiere is the Lucille victim, and the first half of season 7 is building up to the war, and the second half is just a war. Like no Oceanside, no Junkyard, just strictly the war and building up to it. So yeah, that's what I would have done, and I'm sure a lot of you agree. I think Dan has agreed to it. And yeah, let's see. We're at the 2 hour mark now. I think I want to give it a couple more minutes, you guys, and then wrap it up. So if you guys have any like last minute comments or replies, just let me know. Let's see. Um, oh, Dan says, yeah, that would have been better, but no way would I let Gimple make those episodes. I get Angela. Yeah, I mean, at least Angela Kang is not building up the Whisper War for a whole season. You know what I mean? Like that's way better than Gimple, at least. Because if Gimple was doing it, he might have had all of season 10 be building up to the Whisper War. That would have been such a mistake. I can't even imagine. Epic says also the green screen in season 7 when we see the junkyard was atrocious. Dan says it was so bad. Yeah, not just that. The hilltop paper background was bad, as well as the CGI deer. And if you guys don't know what I'm talking about with the hilltop background, when Rick Maggie step out of the Barrington house at the hilltop after they talk with Gregory, like in the mid-season premiere of season 7, the background, the door is paper. Like you know what I mean? Like the entrance to or like the inside of the house, the Barrington house is paper. Even though like you can see it's paper, even though like actually they built that. So I don't understand why it's paper. You know what I mean? Like if you guys didn't know that, I'm sure you did, but that was one problem too, and fans noticed it, and fans were pissed, and they hated it, and I mean rightly so. I mean, why put paper when there actually is a room, in there past that door? Just made no sense. Like I didn't understand a single thing Gimple was doing in season 7. I don't think. Yeah. So let's see. I think that's pretty much it. Let's see. I don't think we really have anything else to talk about. I think let's see. Maybe give it another minute to see what you guys think. Epic says also, in my opinion, All Out War in the comics should have been one trade like the Whisper War. Um, I like the two trades. I mean, I like the two volumes, 12 issues. I think it being 12 issues worked a lot better than 6 issues because the Whisper War, honestly, the Whisper War was too short, and it could have been so much better. The beginning was good, but it just ended not bad. Dan says, I hate the paper background, but it made me laugh so hard. Yeah, Dan, I don't understand why they did that though. Like, they actually made the inside of the Barrington house. Why did they have a paper background? You know what I mean? It was not necessary. It's like me putting a paper background in the door that leads to my room. Like, why do it? I actually do have a room, so like, it made no sense. But yeah, I mean, it kind of is funny when you think about how bad season 7 and 8 were. Just like were they even trying? Like, you know what I mean? Like the quality was just so bad. It feels like they really were not trying. But yeah, guys, I think I'm gonna wrap it up here. I mean, I can maybe go on for a little bit more, but I know Dan has school tomorrow morning, and I actually have things to do as well. Let's see. Epic says, "Oh, The Walking Dead by Telltale is an awesome game series." Yeah, definitely Epic, and hopefully my next live stream we can talk about the Walking Dead Telltale game season 1. If you guys are interested, I want to talk about which were your favorite characters, which characters could have been done better, that sort of thing. Um, anything about the season 1 that you would have liked or done differently. Epic says season 7 and 8 should have been better than they were. Absolutely Epic. They should have been combined into one season, entirely. And season 8 should have been like a new beginning, and Rick could have met Alpha. Epic says go on a little longer. I think I can go on a little longer. What about you, Dan? Are you okay with going on for a little bit longer? I mean, I mean, I'm cool with it. Like, I don't have to leave right now, but yeah. Let's see. Yeah, it would have been nice if Rick could have met Alpha in season 8. Like, if season 7 was just all the Savior War, and season 8 could have been a new beginning where Rick meets Alpha. Like, that would have been amazing. As far as like how I would have had him leave the story, I don't know. That's kind of tricky. And Dan says, "Yeah, I'm enjoying this. I'm glad you're enjoying it, Dan. Yeah, yeah, Eastside Badger left, and I wonder where Ryan went. He's probably Ryan probably left, and yeah, I mean, I wish more people could be here, but I really appreciate you guys sticking around. Let's see. Epic says, like, I'm excited to see who gets out of that cave. Well, we know Daryl, Carol, Aaron, and Yumiko and Kelly get out of that cave, but as far as Magna, Connie, and Jerry, we don't know if they get out. I I would be shocked if all three of them died in the cave, but I think just maybe one or two will die, and that would be crazy. You know what I mean? Like, we don't like Magna, but we like Connie and Jerry, and I just don't want to see them die. I just don't know. I mean, if Jerry dies or Connie dies, I'm gonna be disappointed in Angela King. Um, they just were not. They're not the right characters to kill off. At least not in the cave, not yet, because I think they're needed for seasons to come. You know what I mean? If The Walking Dead wants to go on past season 12, we need likable characters like that. Epic says, also, I think Negan is going to turn on Alpha. I don't think he turned against Judith. They have a bond. Yeah, I agree, Epic. Absolutely. Negan does have a soft spot for Judith, even though in season 8 they kind of had it where Negan kind of tried to kill her, if you think about it, but I don't know. We're not going to get into season 8. I don't think we should. It's just going to make our brains hurt, but yeah. I think that Negan does have a special bond with Judith, and I don't think he wants to jeopardize that. Um, like, the thing is, we know that Beta is going to attack Alexandria, so Negan might kill Alpha and try to kill Beta to stop it, but maybe Beta, leaves before Negan gets the chance to. Epic says, if Dog dies, I'll be super mad. If Dog dies, I see people stop watching. Absolutely, Epic. I think a lot of people would be pissed if Dog died. I mean, he got a Funko Pop, too. Like, I mean, I don't know if Shiva got a Funko Pop, but like Dog got one. You know, what I mean, if he's not going to survive for a while, because of that, then I just don't understand what the show is doing. And like I said before, uh, when the final episode of The Walking Dead airs, they need to have Dog, you know, like on a porch, like with puppies or something, or like Dog is like really old, you know, like just something like that, because I think everyone would love that ending. They can't do a Game of Thrones ending. Like, if you have Dog survive, I guarantee like almost everyone will love that ending. Like, just because of that, just for that fact. So yeah, I mean, I think that Dog is necessary for the ending of the show, like to give it that happy ending. You know what I mean? Epic says like Daryl has been through enough. If Dog dies, then it'd be super repetitive and predictable. Yeah, I mean, how many times can there's got to be a limit to how many times you can have, a character losing an attachment, like a friend or like a pet. Like, just there's too many times. Like Daryl, he hasn't even had a love interest in the story. You know what I mean? It's just it's predictable. Daryl has lost all his friends, and pretty much except Carol. Like, Carol is probably, even Maggie left. Carol's probably like the only friend from before that Daryl has. Like, him and Father Gabriel are not really close, but like yeah, Dog's around there. And Epic says, just keep Dog around. He's becoming popular like Daryl. Yeah, I agree, Epic. Like, Dog is, sure, he doesn't have a big fan base, but he is very popular. I agree. Let's see. Dan, are you still here? I haven't seen. Um, Epic is just. It seems like Epic is just, at the moment, he's the only one saying anything. And oh yeah, Dan says, yeah, they're both fan favorites. Yeah, absolutely, Dan. There's something about Dog that's just refreshing in the show. Like, we didn't get that in the comic, and it's just so refreshing. I like it when they sometimes change things from the comic. Like, I mean, like, some changes from the comic are good. Like the addition of Daryl, or like, I mean, like, I mean, I'll say more, but that's one example. But sometimes changes are bad, like killing Carl. Epic says, "Hey Brian, out of Daryl and Carol, who do you see surviving? Me, it's Daryl. Oh, absolutely epic. I see Daryl surviving longer than Carol. I know that Norman said that he'll stick to The Walking Dead till the end, but I do not think Melissa McBride will stick to the end of The Walking Dead. You know what I mean? Like Norman Reedus, he said he'll stick out to the end, but I don't think she will. And I don't blame her. I mean, it's been 10 years. I mean, can we really ask for more than that? As far as sadly, yeah, I see Carol dying, or like leaving the story like in the next few years, like not before season 12. I think she's going to be in season 12, but I definitely see Carol, not making it after that. I think Melissa McBride is going to say she's had enough, and she's going to say like either you end it at season 12 or write me out of the story or kill me off. But I'm not doing season 13. But I think it's possible that Norman will stick for season 13. But I cannot see, obviously, I can't see her doing it. Dan says Merle was a great addition to the show as well. Yeah, I agree, Dan, but I think we can agree that Daryl is has overall been a better addition. But you know what I mean? Like sometimes, like yeah, like instead of like the way Daryl and Merle are they decide to make an interesting character instead of like, oh, what character from the comic can we change up a little bit? Like, you know what I mean? I wish the show did that more. You know what I mean? Make interesting characters and then like develop them. You know what I mean? Because I feel like we don't get enough characters that fans are can relate to enough. Like we need more relatable characters. Epic says it's crazy to think that out of all the people that were at the CDC in season one, only Daryl and Carol are remaining. Yeah, I agree, and we know that Carol took a shower at the CDC, but I still don't know if Daryl did. Like I know Daryl like drank like wine and stuff there, but I don't know if he took a shower. That is one thing we didn't get to see that. Not that I wanted to, but Daryl does need a shower, and back then in season one, I don't know. I don't know if he did it even back then. I don't know. Maybe you guys know. Epic says, my opinion, Merle was underutilized. He should have lived to season 4. There were a lot of characters that should have lived to season 4. They should have had Andrea, T-Dog, Axel maybe, and some people from Woodbury. You know, I mean, just a couple more characters. Just to flesh out the people from Woodbury. As far as like Merle, yeah, I think they could have had him live to season 4, but I think what they did was still pretty good. But yeah, I don't know. I heard Michael Rooker say that AMC was cheap or something. So like I don't know. Maybe he wanted to stay on the show for longer, but like they wrote the story where he dies, and also maybe they did have a budget issue. So who knows? Should they have kept him around to season 4? I think so, but I'm not a huge Merle fan. Like I'm mixed. You know what I mean? I like it, but then it could have been interesting. Epic says, like literally after Rick begged Jenner to let them out soon, after that Sophia goes missing. WTF? Um, yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't know. Well, before that, they went to the nursing home in Atlanta, and everyone was dead. And as far as like, yeah, like I don't know, like Sophia, yeah, disappearing. That was weird, like in the show, cause like I didn't read the comic at that time, but I knew Sophia was still alive, so I thought she was gonna make it. Uh, Dan says we need a quick clip of Daryl taking a shower, just so we can finally have proof that he does shower. LOL. Yeah, absolutely, Dan. Like, I mean, we've had Alicia a shower scene, and we know that she showered before, but that we didn't get the shower scene for that. You know what I mean? We got it for another reason. But Daryl, we just a small scene or confirmation, so we can finally put this to rest. You know what I mean? Like Morales, like Daryl, whether or not he showered is like the new Morales is alive or where is he kind of thing, or like where's Heath? Like it's still talked about like heavily. Absolutely, absolutely, Dan. Epic says like maybe Jenner was right about making them die in that explosion. They all just died anyways. Yeah, but if they did that, then well, I mean, like certain things wouldn't have happened. You know what I mean? Like Maggie would never have met Glenn, and they wouldn't have had a child. And uh, I don't know. Like, I mean, the thing is, Rick is still alive, kind of. Like, we don't know where he is or where he's been doing for the past 7 years. But it's not just Daryl and Carol. Like, like I think overall them surviving that explosion was, I don't know. I still think it was better than the alternative, like dying in the explosion, because there's still some good that came out of them surviving. You know what I mean? Um, yeah, you know what I'm trying to say. But I understand what you're saying. Like so many have died from that lineup. I mean, I would not have. I mean, they should not have killed off Andrea like that. And back in season 3, and I would have kept Glenn, and I would have kept Carl too. Like those are some changes I definitely would have made if I was writing The Walking Dead. I would have kept Glenn, would have kept Carl. As far as like season 3, Andrea, definitely I would have kept her. But yeah, I mean, it just happens. When they're writing, they don't think about this. And honestly, like if they think they can go on past season 12 with this few cast left, I'm sorry, they're kind of delusional. Like sure, Norman and Carol, sorry, Norman and Melissa will stick to season 12, but then we're gonna have to lose Carol. Like it's just gonna be Daryl. Daryl's gonna be the last character from season 1 left in the show. That's just crazy. Let's see. Epic says, my opinion, Morales should have went back and joined Rick's group. Him dying was super dumb. Yeah, I agree, Epic. I mean, the like first off, Morales being alive and coming back is just, it's so dumb in so many ways because he said he was going to Alabama and somehow he went to on his way to Virginia. Like that doesn't make any sense at all. Like different directions. He said he was going west, he ended up going north, and there could have been some interesting story, but then they just killed him off. And Daryl's even like it doesn't matter. Like I mean, in a way he's right, but like that made me really not like Daryl, cause like, you know what I mean? Like, oh, Dan says I know, like 100 episodes later, then he's dead already. Yeah, I don't understand that, Dan. Like, I don't know if that was Scott Gimple writing it, but I don't know what he was thinking. Like, seriously, like I see people's reactions and they get so mad. They're like, "Are you kidding me? He finally comes back and he just dies like that." Like, what? Epic says, like, yeah, plus Carol and Daryl are getting older, aka the actors. Yeah, I agree, Epic. I don't like Norman Reedus said he wants to stick around to the end, but Melissa McBride did not say that. Like, she said that she signed a contract till season 12, and that's it. That's going to be the end of it. I don't think that she's going to stay on longer. And I mean, if I was AMC, I would decide to end the main show by season 12. Personally, that's me. But because if they have to kill off Carol in season 12 or season 13, you know, Daryl's going to be the last one left, and I don't know if you can hold the show. Carol does have her fans. Um, it's going to take a hit. The show's going to take a massive hit if Carol dies, and I don't know. I can't see her not dying. Like there's no way they're going to have Carol leave the story like Maggie or like Morgan. I don't know. It just doesn't make sense. Like, are they going to have her go into fear? Then they're going to make her a pacifist, and we all know how that turned out the first time. Epic says, like, yeah, 2 seasons, one character dying in the same season, especially a garbage season. I'm guessing you're talking about when I mentioned Glenn and Abraham or Glenn and Carl. Like, yeah, 2 seasons, one character. Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, like, Abraham wasn't a season 1 character, but Glenn dying in season 7 and then Carl in season 8, that was a big mistake. In those 2 seasons. You know what I mean? Just because like season 1 characters are so much more valuable. So if you want the show to keep going on longer, you should keep them as long as possible. Only kill the ones you have to. You know. Let's see. We've been going on for about 2 hours and 18 minutes now. I think I want to end it in a couple minutes. Are you guys okay with that? Dan says, I feel like Carol is going to die, unfortunately, but probably still add 2 seasons from now. Yeah, exactly, Dan. Let's wait until season 12, and then we'll start the Carol dies predictions. But I don't know. I think Negan could die too. Um, we know that Jeffrey Dean Morgan is like he might have a different show or a different movie, and other people want him. So we have to see how long he wants to stay. I don't think I don't think he said he wants to stay on longer. Like to season 12. I don't think he said anything like that. Epic Zombie Killer says, no, Morales and Carl dying in season 8. Yeah, sorry, I misunderstood Epic. Yeah, Morales, they should not have done it, and Carl, they definitely should not have done it. Morales was not a big deal for me. I was a little bit disappointed, but, Carl was just idiotic. Let's see. Dan says, "Yeah, I need to go soon. Anyways, yeah, me too, Dan. I'm kind of getting tired now. I don't know. I don't think I'm gonna make it to like 3 hours. There's no way. But yeah. I mean, let's see how much time I have. Yeah, I mean, I can go on for maybe another 10 minutes if you guys want. Let's see. I'm gonna take take a sip of water real quick. All right, I'm back. Let's see. Let me just fix this real quick. Let's see. Epic says literally they need to stop adding Walking Dead characters to Fear. Yeah, I agree, Epic. I mean, we're gonna like at this rate we're gonna have more original Walking Dead characters in Fear than even in the main show. I mean, we have Morgan, a season one character, and Dwight, a pretty big comic character in Fear. But in the main show, we have Daryl, who's not even a comic character, Carol, who is a super minor character and is completely different in the show. Judith, completely different character. I mean, Gabriel, I guess pretty much different. I'm just saying, like, as far as like in the show, we pretty much have like very little characters like that are like the comic version, and sometimes that's good, but sometimes it's not great. Epic says Dwight, Sherry, and Morgan. That's enough. Yeah, thanks, Epic. I forgot about Sherry. Um, I mean, it's just she's so small, like as a character. I just don't understand why they hyped it so much. They had her disappear, had us be like, where is she? She's like the new Morales or Heath. I just don't like that. Like characters should not just disappear for multiple years and then decide to bring them back just to create hype. You know what I mean? I don't know. It's just weird to me, honestly. I mean, Dwight, Sherry, and Morgan. That's just crazy. Three characters from the main show into Fear when like I mean, sure, we have Daryl, Carol, and Judith, but Michonne's leaving. I mean, you know, I don't know. We can't lose any more characters, but I just know we're gonna. Epic says I am excited to see these Walking Dead spin-offs featuring dead characters. Um, I wish I was excited like you, Epic, but I'm not really excited. At least not in the same way. And it's just the reason for it is they can't really do it in certain ways. So because Scott Gimple wrote it that way in season 5, they can't really do an Abraham backstory because as soon as Abraham lost his family, like he immediately met Eugene, and there's no way that they could have Eugene in one of these spin-offs and in the main show at the same time. Plus, like Josh, McDermott is like much older now, so there's just no way it can work for like an Abraham spin-off. As far as the Glenn spin-off, Steven Yeun he's kind of too old now to play a younger Glenn, and honestly, like I said, they just should not have killed off these characters to begin with if they wanted to make money off of them. I'm sorry, it's true. They can't do a Carl spin-off because we've seen Carl's story from beginning to end. You know, I don't know. There's just not many characters you can do it for. Maybe the governor, but you would have to bring back like Merle. You would have to bring back Milton. So I don't know. Plus, the girl who plays Penny is like too old now, so that's an issue. Epic says it feels like they're trying to fizzle the main show and replace it with Fear, which pisses me off. Yeah, Epic, if they think that Fear can replace the main show, they are dead wrong. The main show I can see going to season 12 and that's it. Fear, I see it ending at season 5 horribly. You know what I mean? There is no way I can see it outlasting the main show. Just no way. These writers are delusional if they think they can make Fear last longer than the main show. Dan says World Beyond is coming up soon and don't even care. Am I the only one? You're not the only one, Dan. I mean, I don't know. It's just I don't like the villain, like the Elizabeth character, and I don't like why they're going out there, and I don't really like the cast that much. I might give him a chance, but like I said before, I think that they should have written it where World Beyond should have been a male and female lead, and it should have been like them leaving the CRM because they find out they're doing experiments and there's like a Rick Easter egg. They find out there's a conspiracy and they have to leave the CRM, and them avoiding the soldiers is pretty much the first season. You know what I mean? Like I said, that's how I would have written it. You know, two young adults stumble across a conspiracy, and they have to leave and never come back. I guess, and they're being hunted. So that's what I would have done the first season. But I don't know. It's just it just seems like they might be looking for the girl's father and just exploring the world, but it's so dangerous. You know what I mean? Like, and they could still go back to their community. Like, are they never going to go back to that community of like 10,000 people? I just don't know. Like, why wouldn't they? They know it's safe and they can always go back there. Epic says, like, I'm dreading Fear the Walking Dead. I'm not excited for it. Yeah, neither am I. I mean, I'm still gonna watch the trailer and break it down, but I just don't know. I don't know if we're gonna see Morgan, um, and it's gonna be split. Like, we're gonna see Alicia with different characters. We're gonna see Strand with different characters. Like, we're not gonna see characters from the previous seasons talking to each other. It's gonna be too many new characters. You know what I mean? It's just a bad idea. Dan says, "Yeah, me neither. Fear is just so bad now." Yeah, it is, Dan. I mean, like if we were writing season 4 and 5, we could have done so much better. And even with season 6, like your version and my version, seem it just seems better than what I think we're gonna get. So yeah, that's unfortunate, but it's true. It's just yeah, I'm not really looking forward to Fear season 6, but I'm still gonna keep watching for Alicia, obviously. Epic says, I don't understand. Ever since season 4, they've had okay first halves and garbage second halves. Yeah, I don't know what it is, Epic. I'm guessing that they, like they try to conclude the stuff they set up in the first half, but they just do it so horrible. Like they didn't do it for the CRM. Like Althea and the Isabella, like there was nothing in the second half about the CRM, and I don't know. Yeah, the first half of season 4, besides Madison's death, really good. Second half, garbage. First half of season 5, very slow, kind of garbagey, but way better than the second half. They gotta get rid of the gray filter, give us amazing villains, stop splitting up the characters, and stop making all the characters a pacifist. Like, if Morgan is still a pacifist in season 6, I don't know if I mean, I'm still gonna keep watching, but I'm not gonna like Morgan anymore. Like I can't take it anymore. Like, the Fear group, they need to start showing a spine. They need to be The Walking Dead. Not pacifists. You know what I mean? It's just, I don't know. I don't know anymore. It's just bad. We need some deaths, some good deaths in the story. We need a villain to show up and kill someone. We just need that. In a good way. We need like a Negan or a Lucille kind of thing. Let's see. Epic says, like, I'm predicting Fear season 6 will be okay first half, then season 6B will be garbage. Maybe Epic. I'm not really sure because I think the first half is going to be split between 16 different perspectives of the Fear cast, and I'm sure the second half some of the characters will reunite, so that should help a little bit. But I mean, probably that's probably going to happen. What you think? The first half is going to be okay, and the second half is going to be garbage. I don't know what it is. Like, they should really get us to write it or something because it's obvious that the Fear writers just don't know how to make a good second half. Let's see. Dan says that's how it usually goes with Fear. Pretty much. Epic says if Fear gets a season 7, I'm gonna be super angry. Yeah, me too. I cannot see a season 7. I couldn't even see a season 6, honestly. Like, after what happened with season 4, I was just thinking, just do a season 5 and end it in a good way. And then they didn't end it in a good way. And then now I'm just saying, like, just have it end well in season 6. But who knows if they're going to do that. All right, guys. Let's see. It's 11 o'clock now. I think I want to end it here, actually. Thank you so much, Dan, Epic. I really appreciate you guys not stopping by, staying and carrying on this live stream for 2.5 hours, actually. Yeah, thank you so much, both of you guys. I really appreciate it, and I look forward to your future videos in the coming week. And like I said, I'm probably gonna do a live stream Friday night, probably Friday night. We'll see. Let's see. And Dan says that means it gets more seasons than Better Call Saul. Yeah, that's a mistake, Dan. Uh, I mean, at least Better Call Saul has fans. Epic says, I want Fear to end so badly. Me too, just in a good way. And yeah, I want Fear to end badly as well. I love Alicia, but I don't love what they're doing with her or the story. It's just so bad. Just take her to the movies or something. Dan says, great stream. Thank you, Dan. I really appreciate it. Yeah, I read your last comment, Epic. Let's see. He says, bye. See you next stream. And Dan says, Friday it is. Yeah, I'm gonna try for Friday. I'm not sure what time. Maybe 8:30, 9. I'll let you guys know, like, on the day, when I post it. But yeah. So, oh wait, hold on. I made a mistake here. Let's see. I'm trying to stop this. Yeah. So thank you guys so much. I'll see you next time. Take care, guys. Good night. Bye.